She is the kingdom's only princess, yet she is bound to the bed like cargo, forced by her brother to marry a man she has only met once. The war hero returning in triumph receives a royal marriage decree, but the king grants him his supposedly simple-minded sister Miesha as a reward for victory. What appears to be a reward is actually an insult. The girl resembles a frightened little deer. Eric shows surprise on his face, but if he had moved closer, he would have discovered a hint of scrutiny in the princess's hollow eyes. The king's voice carries pleasure, as if he is toying with a pet. My sister is easily shy, Miesha, come here. The girl makes ah-ah sounds, unable to express even a complete sentence. The next second, she falls heavily to the ground. The king mocks, my sister is in poor health. I hope everyone understands. Get up quickly, Miesha. Although the old count speaks of welcoming the princess as a family honor, his heart churns with shock. This simple-minded, frail girl is actually the princess. The man accepts the marriage decree. Your humble servant will not bring shame to His Majesty the King, and Her Highness the Princess. Eric's compliance greatly pleases the king. She is about to become your wife. Come greet her. Eric's expression remains unchanged. He walks before Miesha and kneels on one knee, taking the girl's hand with the courtesy due to royalty. It will be my honor to care for your highness in the future. Unexpectedly, the princess forcefully pulls her hand away. Miesha retreats backward, her face filled with terror. The king beckons. He is your future husband. This will not do. Come here. She runs toward the king. Kneeling beside the throne, the man satisfyingly strokes her golden hair. You were rude, Miesha. You must apologize to him. As soon as he finishes speaking, the girl begins barking like a dog. Eric calmly watches this farce, as if he is not the one about to marry the princess. The sun sets. No one speaks inside the carriage. Their family has just endured a long war. The king, who had hoped they would suffer mutual destruction with their enemies, remains dissatisfied with their complete victory, which is why he arranged this marriage. Father rages at the dinner table, but his son remains much calmer, though he internally resists. He knows royal commands cannot be disobeyed as the young heir of Cladenir. He must comply. Even more ridiculous, the king actually sends maidservants to monitor them under the guise of caring for the princess. Despite the heavy atmosphere in the mansion, the people who learn of the royal marriage still rejoice. They do not know their lord is about to marry a fool. The wedding arrives as scheduled. Upon seeing the bride, murmurs arise in the hall. Is she unwell somewhere? She seems intoxicated. Regardless of the bride's condition, nothing can prevent the wedding's completion. Eric Cladenir and Miesha Escolier exchange vows in the sacred church and perform the oath kiss. Before entering the room, an elderly maidservant instructs, please do not let Her Highness the Princess be harmed tonight. We will come for proof tomorrow morning. Eric's voice remains cold. Understood. He pushes open the bedroom door, only to find the girl lying there like a broken doll, eyes vacant and lifeless. The room is very dark. Eric slowly approaches her. She shows no reaction whatsoever. He removes his bathrobe, calling softly, Your Highness the Princess. Then he suddenly notices something unusual. Empty medicine bottles lie scattered beside the bed. Did they give her medicine? No, they actually gave sedatives to someone nearly starving to death. Who dares to do such shameless things so brazenly? Obviously, without the king's orders, no one would dare do this. Do not be afraid, I will untie you immediately. Miesha has been bound here for who knows how long. Her entire body is ice cold. Eric asks quietly, Are you all right? Her ankles are slightly swollen where the ropes bound them. This clearly does not look all right. He also unties the ropes around her wrists. The princess has been bound here too long, her body approaching hypothermia. This situation makes it impossible to call others in. Only that method remains. Your Highness the Princess, I must enter the covers. Please do not be frightened. The man's slightly hoarse voice echoes in the room. My name is Eric. I am the son of Count Cladenir, 24 years old. I have no brothers. Though I once had a sister, she died when she was very young. Previously, due to our war with the Westetta Principality, I lived on the border constantly. He does not know how much the princess can understand, but he thinks he should explain the current situation to her. Winters on the border are very cold. Frostbite most easily attacks the extremities, so keeping blood flowing through the limbs is especially important. He suddenly freezes. The princess has already fallen asleep, seeing her complexion return to normal. Eric sits up. He needs to create evidence of their shared night. The next day, the man presents the blood-stained white cloth, handing it to the maidservant waiting outside the door. Just as the plump maidservant prepares to enter the room, Eric stops her. The princess has not yet awakened. Let her rest a while longer. After the maidservant leaves, he returns to the room. Just as he sighs, sounds come from behind him. He turns to look. Miesha has grabbed a robe and is gnawing on it. Miesha makes woo sounds. The man looks toward the food basket behind him. Your Highness the Princess, are you hungry? Can you eat this first? The girl makes an ah sound, then drops the bathrobe and reaches out to grab. Eric quietly watches her bite the bread bit by bit like a small animal. His mouth unconsciously curves upward. I am glad you like it. After spending the wedding night, they return to the Count's mansion. Although the Count and Countess wait in advance, they actually do not welcome this troublesome daughter-in-law. They politely suggest she rest first. But unexpectedly, the princess immediately climbs onto a sculpture. Eric carries her down. The Count turns away in disgust. The maidservant reaches out to take the girl, but Eric refuses. You have traveled far and are the ones who are tired. Please rest quickly, I can handle this. This is naturally exactly what the two desire. After the two walk away, Eric orders the butler. Her Highness the Princess is our family member from today. Her health is poor. Please take extra care when attending to her. In the distance, Mother watches her son's every move thoughtfully. At mealtime, Eric volunteers. I will be responsible for feeding my lady. You may return to rest. The tall maidservant begins disparaging Miesha with meaningful glances. It is fine. Her Highness the Princess is always troublesome during meals and always causes problems. Eric's gaze darkens. He does not explode, but continues asking, does she have any foods she likes or dislikes? After learning Miesha has no dietary restrictions, he spears a small piece of meat. My lady, try this. He does not look away, continuing to observe the princess's reaction, but unexpectedly after the girl chews a few times, she spits directly at his face immediately after. She overturns the soup in front of her. Eric restrains her while patiently guiding. Does the food not suit your taste? Then he turns to the maidservants, ordering them to take Miesha to change into new clothes. The dining room returns to quiet, giving them opportunity to communicate. The Count looks at his wife, exchanging signals only they can understand. Is it necessary to let her live too long? The lady laughs at her husband's stupidity. If we kill this woman, we will all die. Eric understands his mother's meaning. The Esquilier Kingdom once had three great families honored as the nation's three pillars. The Salakady family stabilizing the kingdom internally, the Crispin family maintaining domestic order, and the Cladenir family pacifying external threats. The previous king married one queen each from the three families, among them the son born to the Salakady duke's daughter. Became the tyrant Belmeric II, who not only failed to fulfill his kingly duties but also ruled autocratically with tyranny, and using the excuse of restoring royal power, personally destroyed the Salakady family of his maternal relatives. But he remains unsatisfied, continuing to suppress the other two families. The two families, suffering under oppression, decide to unite, secretly arranging a marriage contract between their heirs and planning to launch a rebellion once the war ends. But things go against their wishes. The people's hearts, weary of tyranny, gradually favor the Cladenir family for their outstanding military achievements in this war. The king's marriage decree disrupts their plans. The Count trembles with rage. What use is keeping this mentally unstable woman who acts like a madman? The lady orders the servants to withdraw. I heard that child was quite normal originally. She only became simple-minded after seeing corpses in the royal palace. Do you not think she is pitiful? You still have the heart to sympathize with her? The Count looks at his son again. Just this morning, some retainers suggested letting Albertic take your place, saying since the Crispin family insists on an heir for the marriage alliance, we can also change our heir. Your position may be threatened because of that woman. He once had a marriage contract with the Crispin family, but now he is married. Is Duke Haki still hesitating? The Count snorts. That fellow is too weak. Haki is the king's cousin, and the only surviving royal family member besides the princess. But he lost his ability to bear children in an accident, and since then has lived an almost reclusive life. The Count grows angrier as he thinks, cursing as he leaves the dining room. The lady sneers. Look at his inability to control his emotions like a fool. Eric, what do you think? I believe using marriage to bind two families was inappropriate from the start. It will only draw more attention from the king. And the next heir to the throne has not yet been determined. Convincing the nobles will take us several years. You are right. It seems I have stayed on the battlefield too long. When faced with political problems, even my mind becomes dull. Even you young people understand the current situation clearly. Yet he still speaks of harming that child. Speaking of this, let me also remind you, while it is good that the maidservants cannot find fault, you should not develop feelings for that child. Nothing is more shallow than a man's emotions. If you must later withdraw the affection you give her, it is better not to give it at all. Do not make things difficult for that poor child. Eric thinks about his relationship with the princess throughout the journey. Does even Mother think it is better to distance himself from her? However, remembering the girl's cruel treatment, he seems unable to completely remain uninvolved. Suddenly, voices of the maidservants scolding come from ahead. Get into bed quickly, stop dawdling. Why are you so disobedient today? Did eating your fill give you strength to resist? Thank you both for your hard work. The man's gentle voice arrives, but his tone carries undeniable authority. I will personally care for my lady from now on, you may return. After dismissing the maidservants, Miesha obviously relaxes considerably, though the girl rarely responds. Eric still persists in communicating with her. You seem to be in good spirits today. This is our residence in the capital. From now on we will travel between here and our territory, Cladis. Is there anything you are dissatisfied with during this time? The princess still concentrates on playing with her hair. Eric feels somewhat disappointed. When he first entered, she still made eye contact with him. Did she lose interest in him so quickly? However, looking at the girl's bare legs, does the princess have no other clothes besides these? They look like prison garments. At this moment, Miesha suddenly looks up at him. Because they are so close, Eric momentarily freezes. The next instant, he hears the girl making pup-puh sounds from her mouth. She purses her small lips, spraying saliva all over his face. The man is stunned. "My lady, you cannot spit on other people's faces." He gently pats Miesha's back. "Rest now. I will sleep after finishing the remaining work. Call me anytime if you need anything." Thunder rumbles across the dark night sky. Moonlight passes through the window, illuminating both their bodies. Eric sleeps soundly, so he completely fails to notice his wife lying beside him, watching him with a strange expression. The girl shows none of her daytime foolish and crazed appearance. The next day, the two proceed as usual. Eric scoops up a spoonful of soup, preparing to feed the princess, but he notices her complexion looks worse than usual. She was fine before bed last night. He coaxes the girl to eat more, but before he finishes speaking, Miesha presses her hand into the soup. She grabs a handful carelessly, stuffing it directly into her mouth and licking. Eric is once again completely stunned by her. After Eric marries the princess, the atmosphere in the mansion also undergoes subtle changes. As captain, he goes to the training ground for practice daily. But when everyone faces him, they all wear expressions of wanting to speak but stopping themselves. The heavy atmosphere is everywhere. "What are you all standing around for? Are today's exercises finished so quickly?" At some point, the count begins refusing to dine with them. Seeing such a husband, the lady complains about his inability to control his emotions. And the retainers following Cladenir also appear confused. Even so, no one dares openly express dissatisfaction to the person involved, because Eric always appears completely composed, as if nothing has happened. After training ends, Eric learns the princess has gone to the maidservant's workshop. The room fills with the fresh scent of sun-dried clothing. The girls sit in a circle discussing quietly. While Miesha lies in their midst, her hair is shining. It looks even more beautiful than silver thread. "I have seen cats like this before. Their fur completely snow white. Ah, that must be very cute." When Eric arrives, he happens to hear their conversation. After learning the two maidservants who should be caring for Miesha have disappeared again, he walks over to lift the girl. "I will take care of her." He crosses the corridor, climbs the stairs, returning to their bedroom. Upon entering, the girl suddenly awakens. She begins struggling constantly. "Wait until I put you down. You will get hurt if you fall like this." But as soon as he releases her, the girl runs to the other side of the bed, looking wary of him. Through these days of observation, Eric discovers the princess seems to dislike him. How to put it, she only treats him as a mobile tool. Due to the princess's special nature, Eric always pays extra attention to her. He notices something stuck in Miesha's hair and reaches out to help remove it, but the girl suddenly dodges away. "Did he frighten her?" "I did not mean to scare you. I just wanted to remove what was stuck in your hair." Miesha buries her head like an ostrich, refusing to lift it. Eric begins observing her again. When the girl raises her head, where is any trace of being frightened? He suddenly remembers the maidservant's words. "I have seen cats like this before. Their fur completely snow white. They really are exactly alike." He cannot help but laugh. Actually, Eric is not as composed as he appears on the surface. The maidservants from the palace always leave the princess with the mansion's maids, disappearing whenever they have the chance. There must be something suspicious about this. The territory's grain supply is also a problem. Too many matters require attention, and recently one more has been added. The person he sent to follow the family head reports the latest intelligence. The family head frequently meets with a woman from a tavern. Actually, when father suddenly proposed the alliance with Crispin, he harbored doubts, though this condition seemed acceptable to everyone. But somehow he could never shake his suspicions. From then on, he began secretly observing his father's surroundings. As a result, he discovered a courtesan frequently entering and leaving his father's residence. When he first learned this, his heart felt somewhat bitter. But on the life and death battlefield, one cannot be shocked by such problems. So he began investigating that woman, whether she has a mastermind, and purposefully approaches father. He never told anyone about this matter, but unexpectedly after the war ended, father insisted on bringing that courtesan back, even having his right-hand man Carnig take her as a concubine. With no choice, he wrote a letter with this information and evidence to his mother. But mother does not care. "A worthless old fool. If someone else wants him, they can have him. Not seeing him every night makes me more comfortable." Mother shows no concern, and his investigation progresses poorly. That woman never contacts any mastermind. He throws down the letter and sighs. It seems there is no new intelligence. Actually, mother's reaction is normal too, because in her eyes, their relationship is merely that of partners managing the family together. At this moment, sounds come from the direction of the bed. Miesha has awakened. She rubs her eyes, then rises and walks toward him. "Why not sleep a bit more? Do you need something?" The girl still does not respond, but this time is different. She places her hand on Eric's shoulder, then sits in his embrace, proceeding to tear his important letters into pieces. But Eric not only does not get angry, he actually feels happy because she approaches him voluntarily for the first time. All along, Eric has been entangled in affairs, and his disgust toward the king, leaving him no mind for emotional matters. But now just thinking that she is the person who will spend his entire life with him, a novel feeling wells up in his heart. In childhood, when he first encountered chivalry, he was endowed with responsibility and pride, but after encountering reality, he awakened from his beautiful dream. No matter how it is embellished, ultimately he is merely a stallion for continuing the family bloodline and bearing offspring. So he has no requirements for his future wife. Even someone like now who enjoys tearing paper is acceptable, precisely speaking. Since understanding his position and responsibilities as family heir, he never held great expectations for marriage. After tearing up the letters in his hands, the girl targets the sealed correspondence. Eric stops her this time. Miesha, stop. He takes the letter. You cannot tear this one. The girl reaches for it. He dodges again. Pestering me will not work either, because I have not finished reading it. The girl's ah sounds echo in the room, along with his indulgent persuasion. That one is also not allowed. At least let me read it first. The next day, in the Countess's office, Miesha suddenly bursts in. The girl lies on the floor as if no one else exists, making purring sounds like a cat. The lady shows some surprise. How strange, I heard Her Highness the Princess usually stays with the servants. Why did she come to find me today? Oh my lady, how can you call the young lady Her Highness the Princess? She is not an outsider after all. You are right, but I have not thought of how to address her, Lady Diarafa. I have been on the border previously, so I do not understand palace etiquette. Well, how should I address Her Highness the Princess in this situation? Diarafa avoids her gaze. I also do not know very well. Indeed, forget about helping, she does not even have the heart to get along with them properly. Well, my lady, I inquired a bit. Apparently there were similar situations before. At that time, the Edbalra couple addressed her by her honored name. Then let us also follow precedent. I heard Her Highness the Princess's honored name is Miesha. She looks at the girl, calling in a much gentler voice than usual, Miesha. The girl's azure eyes turn toward her, suddenly standing up abruptly. A smile appears on her face that is unladylike but enough to eclipse everything around. Oh my god, it seems Her Highness the Princess agrees to let me call her by name. Miesha is such a beautiful name. Diarafe suddenly speaks. Her Highness the Princess seems to like my lady very much. May she stay here until dinner? Fine, you may go rest. After she leaves, the maidservant beside the lady finally relaxes. The situation just now could have resulted in trouble over just a form of address. I heard Lady Diarafe idles about all day. The only thing she persists in is personally bathing Her Highness the Princess daily, and Lady Maleka disappears every day. No one knows where she goes. The lady's mouth curves up. They are so brazenly lazy, there must be a reason. For now, let us cooperate with them. After all, we do not know what charges they want to pin on us. The two's conversation does not avoid Miesha. The lady suddenly holds her forehead. Adel, bring me headache medicine. When Adel returns with the medicine, she witnesses a miraculous scene. The princess leans against the lady's front. When she approaches, she realizes she has actually fallen asleep, and the lady actually allows her to pillow on her leg like this. Are you all right? If the headache is unbearable, call the doctor. The lady changes the subject. This child is 20 years old, right? That is what the palace people say. I remember it is. I heard at such a young age, she witnessed more than half the royal family being brutally slaughtered. It must have been extremely painful. It would be strange if she did not go mad, and now she is being used everywhere. This child is truly pitiful, clearly so beautiful, yet her experiences are so tragic. Whether her features or eye color, everything is very beautiful. She is just too thin. We should make more delicious food for her. Edel originally thought her master did not care about this daughter-in-law, but she observes so carefully. A familiar feeling wells up in her heart. Oh my Miesha, your nails need cutting, and your hair needs combing. Could it be that my lady sees that child's shadow in Her Highness the Princess? When Eric returns from training, he hears the princess is with his mother. Before he even arrives, he hears his mother's and the maidservant's voices. My lady, let me cut the toenails instead. It is fine, I can do it. And suddenly changing people might frighten her. What are you doing? Eric looks at this scene in disbelief. From entering the room, he has felt something incongruous with mother's personality. At most, she would only feel sympathy for others. It is impossible for her to personally cut someone else's toenails. She is rational to the point of being extremely cold even to her own son. But her current expression, anyone can see her fondness for the princess. That is the expression she only showed when her sister Rogel was alive. If mother has already seen her own daughter's shadow in the princess, is it really all right to continue letting this go on? He hurriedly steps forward. Give me the scissors, I will cut them. His reason for thinking this is because he still clearly remembers how mother looked on the day his sister died. He is unclear whether he should stop this. Eric's expression grows serious, but his hands skillfully help the girl cut her nails. Miesha slightly raises her head, staring at him with eyes full of curiosity. A little itchy. Edel suddenly feels a chill. The princess has somehow changed her expression. Oh no, she is unhappy. She looks at the sweets nearby, picking up a piece and stuffing it into the girl's mouth. Everyone freezes for a moment. Eric curiously asks why she did this. I saw Her Highness the Princess seemed uncomfortable. She calmed down the instant I gave her sweets before. It seems she really likes sweet food. Mother's laughter comes. Miesha eating looks so adorable. Seeing her eat so happily makes me happy too. At this time, Eric, who still does not regard Miesha as the opposite sex, completely fails to anticipate that in just a few days, He will be deeply entranced by the girl. Eric, who has always treated the princess as a child, suddenly realizes he is beginning to feel wrong. Just the day before, he cared for Miesha as usual. But what he cannot understand is, which aspect of the princess reminds Mother of his sister? They only have similar eye color. If it is eye color, is not Albertic more similar? But Mother never treated him differently. At this moment, a servant brings a plate of roasted quail. The instant the plate is set down, the girl suddenly hugs her head. She closes her eyes tightly in apparent pain, waving her hands constantly, as if driving something away. Could it be because of this? After he removes that plate of quail, the princess returns to calm. Eric cannot help wondering, did she have problems after eating quail before, due to this small incident? Eric cannot concentrate fully during training the next day, worrying whether she is eating properly. When he left this morning, the princess still seemed listless. Seeing it is nearly noon, he announces the end of training early, hurrying back. Just arriving at the mansion, he hears she fell into the stream. After my lady bathed and ate, she slept briefly. Now she is in the maid-servant's workshop. Eric is surprised she fell into the stream. Yes, on the way to worship with the grand lady, she probably fell in while watching the fish. Hearing it was Mother who took her out, Eric feels relieved. Going with Mother should not encounter any danger, but she has had quite a busy day. The young lady seems to dislike the chapel. As soon as she arrived there, she made a fuss. So until worship ended, she stayed outside with the maidservants, thinking Miesha probably will not be too happy today. If he gives her something delicious like yesterday, might it help a little? Thinking this, he instructs the steward, prepare some sweets on the table every day from now on. Soon evening arrives. The girl opens her mouth waiting for Eric to feed her. Why are you so well-behaved eating today? Seeing her lively appearance, she should be fine. Do not always eat meat, eat some vegetables too. He stacks the onion and beef together. Here, open your mouth. But just as it reaches her mouth, the onion falls down. It is fine, I will get you more. Eric's hand, reaching halfway, suddenly stops. The onion happens to fall on the girl's chest, making him momentarily nervous. Well, excuse me. He carefully tries not to touch her. Seeing the food pass before her eyes, Miesha actually chases after it with a bite. Eric raises his hand to dodge, but unexpectedly gets caught by the girl's arm. I will cut you a fresh one, you cannot eat this. Miesha refuses. She exerts force until her small face wrinkles. Eric does not dare use too much force, fearing he will hurt her, allowing her to succeed. With a chomp, she bites his finger. The hard teeth and soft clinging lips make him sensitively withdraw his hand. While Miesha looks stunned, she stares blankly at the man. Then the little cat whose food was stolen gets angry. She grabs the tablecloth, overturning all the food with one pull. Diaraph opens the door. Seeing the two people covered in food and soup, she shows undisguised disgust. Are you not tired of this happening every meal? While Eric sits in place for a long time without moving, his hand still retains the sensation the girl left behind. Damn. His thoughts begin to grow chaotic. Images of Miesha biting him keep flashing in his mind, as if he can still feel that fingertip moisture now. Though she is his wife, her current condition is no different from a child. So she probably does not even understand that he is her husband. He cannot regard the princess as the opposite sex. Eric keeps brainwashing himself. He must not have any thoughts about her, but his reddened ears and profile betray everything. Soon after, Mother notifies him they will hold a poetry recital on Wednesday. She hopes her son can look after the princess properly. The poetry recital, though it sounds like an ordinary activity, is actually a venue for like-minded family matrons to gather and discuss the corrupt royal family and their families. So it is easy to obtain various intelligence there. This event will be hosted by them, most importantly. The Crispin Marquis's wife and her only daughter will also attend, though dissolving the engagement is not their responsibility. The other party may harbor resentment. After finishing, the lady plans to take the princess to the greenhouse. Eric awkwardly turns his head away from the girl, but his mouth cannot help showing concern. Did Miesha have fun today? This makes Mother laugh heartily. You sound like a father handing his child to a nanny. Why not come along too? I still have matters to handle. I just came to check on her briefly. Eric originally wants to refuse, but just looking at the girl once more, he changes his mind. I should take a look after all. The greenhouse has ample space. Miesha runs around like a curious little animal, looking here and there. Seeing her like this, Eric's constantly tense heart finally relaxes slightly. Just then, two maidservants who often play with Miesha arrive. Young lady, did you also come to tour the greenhouse? Why did you not come find us to play earlier? We have been waiting for you. But the instant she sees the caged bird, Miesha becomes frozen in place. In the dark night sky, lightning flashes and thunder roars. In the hall, numerous crows flap their wings, making piercing cries. Bloodstains cover the walls in large patches, while the ground holds her unwanted nightmares. The parrot started talking eerily. Miesha, it seems Mother did wrong. But even mothers must be punished for doing wrong, is that not right? So now Mother is... The remaining words are covered by piercing screams. That is Miesha clutching her head in complete breakdown. She collapses to the ground, gasping in extreme pain. Worried and frightened gazes, curious and shocked eyes, and undisguised disgust. All the stares gather on the girl from all directions. Only Eric is the first to rush toward her. Are you alright? Lean on me first. Everyone around does not know why the princess reacts this way. Miesha suddenly throws herself at him, like grasping the only lifeline. Her entire body trembles violently. What is happening? Maleka says indifferently. The young lady saw that bird and reacted this way. Because Her Highness the princess fears birds. But this seems more than just fearing birds. The countess sternly scolds, should such things not be reported in advance? If you cannot even do this, why did you follow us to the border mansion? The maidservant's attitude is haughty. Do we not bathe and dress Her Highness the princess every day? We just forgot one small detail. Why be so aggressive? What nonsense are you speaking? Though the lady does not speak again, murderous intent already lurks in her eyes. Eric notices his mother's displeasure. But the girl's condition does not allow him to stay longer. He takes Miesha away from the greenhouse. So that day was also because of birds? There will be no more such food at the dining table. And all birds in the greenhouse will be removed. The girl waves her hand at this moment. Do you want to go to the garden? There might be birds there. Miesha nods, indicating she wants to go. Eric agrees. Come to think of it, besides mother taking you to worship, you have always stayed in the mansion. Perhaps going out for fresh air will help. He wipes away the remaining tears from the girl's eyes. Rest assured, if birds come, I will drive them away. After you fall asleep, I will carry you back to the room. After saying this, he observes the surroundings. Perhaps the sudden relaxation after being frightened makes Miesha slowly close her eyes. After a long while, a man approaches from a distance, his tone familiar. You're out for a stroll with your wife? Your relationship looks so lovely. Ah, she's asleep, I see. Eric's expression darkens. Get lost. But the man steps closer. Such a foul temper. What? Afraid I'll wake your wife? Rumors about you two are everywhere now. They've even reached my household. Only then does Eric properly look at him. Who's behind it this time? His uncle has been courting branch families to make his own son, Iberic, the next head of the household. At a time like this, news about the family head spreading externally is far from ideal. There's a red-haired maid named Feigned in your estate. This time it's her and a brunette servant spreading the gossip. Turns out this man is Iberic himself. But carefree and indifferent to power, he has no interest in authority. The two have even fought side by side on the battlefield, forging a life-and-death bond. And for a long time now, he's been supporting Eric. Thanks. I owe you again. Don't mention it. Thanks to you two, things have gotten more interesting lately. But what's really going on with you? Have you completely fallen for your wife? I heard you even cut her toenails yourself. Eric replies. I couldn't just stand by and watch my mother do it for her. That may be true, but seeing you today, it feels a bit too exaggerated. What exactly do you want to say? The maids say that your wife never has the chance to walk on her own, and you carry her everywhere you go. You saw that day that my wife has difficulty with her legs, and she's already an unpredictable person. Do you want me to drag her around like I did at the wedding? If it were you, could you do such a thing to your own family? Alberic wears a disbelieving expression. Is that unique sense of responsibility and compassion of yours again? Although there are unavoidable reasons, I still completely fail to understand. When I first heard the rumors, I thought it was your way of deceiving the king. I even praised your acting skills in my heart, but now when no one is watching, why do you still go to such lengths? Do you really intend to keep this woman as your wife? If at first he just wanted Alberic to leave so as not to wake Miesha, now the other party is about to infuriate him. Shut up! No, I just don't understand your thinking. By all logic, you should dispose of her immediately, shouldn't you? Weren't you originally supposed to marry Rakan? Stop talking. Anyway, no matter who I marry, as long as it helps the family, that's enough. Since I married her, the king will relax his guard against us during this time. Besides, she knows nothing. She doesn't know whose lap she's lying on, nor does she know what kind of treatment she's receiving. She's already pitiful enough. So is it necessary to make her even more unfortunate? Upon hearing this, Alberic sighs. Indeed, everyone treats the princess like a plague. This is the first time Eric has heard such a direct evaluation of his wife from someone else. His tone becomes dejected. Treat her like a plague. A few days later, the poetry recital proceeds as scheduled. Families with connections to the Cladenir have all arrived in succession. The mother and daughter of the Crispin family also attend as planned. Eric simply greets them briefly with the princess. But what welcomes the two of them are dozens of curious gazes. Of course, these people's blessings cannot possibly be sincere. Moreover, during the greetings, facing the awkward atmosphere between the two families who once had a marriage arrangement, everyone pretends not to know while secretly observing. Afterward, Eric uses his wife's poor health as an excuse, picks up Miesha, and leaves promptly. Rakane stares at them thoughtfully. Wait! Suddenly a voice calls from behind. Rakane actually chases after them. What is it? I want to talk to you. But Eric's tone is extremely cold. Isn't it too presumptuous of you to follow us out like this? Rakane ignores him and continues speaking on her own. Since time is short, I'll cut to the chase. Don't have children with her. Since he was assigned this marriage by the king, the engagement between the two families, which was based on interest to begin with, became void by default. So Eric doesn't understand her intentions. Rakane releases the handkerchief behind her back and bids farewell. Then we'll meet again next time. Inside the Crispin's carriage. Did you drop your handkerchief there just now? And did you make things clear to him? Seeing the girl nod, her mother continues. You saw it too, didn't you? Those two people actually embrace like that all the time. It's truly disgusting. However, that girl is exactly the type all men like. Not only does she have a pretty face, but she's always smiling cheerfully. But you're the one who should have married into their family. Rakan has been learning the virtues expected of a family matriarch all her life. It would not be an exaggeration to say that the family raised her to bear heirs. But perhaps the girl's heart doesn't think this way. Her hands are covered with calluses and scars that a noble young lady shouldn't have. Recently, Eric's life has been extremely busy. He always works until late at night, his brain constantly operating at full capacity. His father is obsessed with courtesans and neglects family affairs, so he must shoulder most of the territorial responsibilities. What's giving him headaches recently is the loss of lives and property caused to the people by the long war, leading to insufficient food this summer. If they can somehow hold on until autumn, the situation will gradually stabilize, because by then the soldiers who returned from the battlefield to farm will have their harvest. Having won the victory, they should receive adequate compensation from the royal court. But the king's compensation to the Cladenir consists only of mediocre spoils of war, and the Harlech iron mine reluctantly granted due to concern for public opinion. And Eric looks toward the other side of the bedroom. Since developing the iron mine will take a long time, distant water cannot quench immediate thirst. What's most crucial for the territory now is how to exchange existing resources for food. Due to the king's willful blindness, they can only solve this themselves. Of course, this is not simply a matter of family finances, because with his father absent, all the retainers are watching him, and those expectant gazes are more painful than he imagined, pressing down on him like a heavy coffin. The man suddenly comes to his senses. Miesha has grabbed his clothes. Sorry, I was just thinking about something else. Do you want to sit up? The next second, the girl suddenly embraces him. Eric is momentarily at a loss. Then Miesha looks toward the table. Eric immediately knows what she wants. He feeds the girl candy. Are you going back? Don't go, sit with me a while longer. Just watching this woman who snuggled in his arms without running away. His gloomy mood seems to find comfort. The next day, Rakani's maid suddenly comes to the door. The reason is that her young lady's handkerchief was left here. In social circles, handkerchiefs are tokens of romantic affection between men and women. For an unmarried young lady to leave her handkerchief at her former fiancé's home is a very serious matter. So the lady immediately orders a search. To avoid suspicion, she commands that they claim the handkerchief belongs to the Marchioness. What they don't know is that the lead maid actually knows Maleka. After the two exchange a glance, they move to a secluded corner. The lead maid directly states that the princess must be eliminated within 2 years at the latest. Maleka responds, "If you want, even tomorrow would be fine." No, we cannot be so impulsive about this matter. If it's too soon, we'll become suspected. Meanwhile, with Miesha, the lady is personally helping her comb her hair. Today is the day for the whole family to dine together. She had wanted to tell the girl to behave properly, but when the words reach her lips, she changes her mind. Never mind, Miesha. What's most important is that you eat well. The count in the distance looks at the girl with evident displeasure. The meal doesn't go smoothly. Miesha scrapes harsh sounds on her plate, grating enough to be unbearable. The count scolds, "What's wrong with her? She's learning to use a fork. Don't criticize her." Eric picks up a piece of roasted lamb shank. "My lady, just eat this with your hands. You two are truly exasperating. How old is she, and you still need to teach her how to eat hand by hand? Dear, you should stop paying attention to Miesha. Miesha certainly doesn't want your attention anyway." The count, having lost face, is about to retort when the lady looks away. "Eric, give Miesha some vegetables." This makes the count even more displeased. He slams his palm on the table. "You two will soon be visiting His Majesty the King. During this time, make sure she doesn't get hurt." After speaking, he gets up and leaves. But obviously neither his son nor his wife pay him any attention. Speaking of going to the palace, the lady asks her son if he has prepared the gift. Eric answers that it's ready long ago. In the kingdom of Esquilier, there's a custom that 50 days after marriage, newlyweds must visit the wife's family home. For him and Miesha, that means going to the palace. On the morning of departure for the palace, the maids suddenly act dutiful and responsible, making him feel awkward. He looks at the girl who has been dressed up elaborately. The princess is the wife he married when he gave up all expectations for marriage, amid people's sympathetic gazes. And such a wife seems better than he had imagined. Eric leans down close to her. "Do you know what my name is?" Miesha just glances at him and turns away. The man who receives no response still smiles. "It's all right. I was just asking casually." In Eric's view, Miesha probably doesn't even know who he is. But for him, having someone who needs his protection makes this kind of life not bad either. Soon they arrive at the palace, the harsh bright light streaming through the windows, and the gray-white marble covering the central palace. He knows all of this is intended to intimidate. But thinking of the king's various behaviors, he feels displeased with it all. 20 years ago, the newly crowned young king effortlessly stabilized royal power, because his maternal grandfather, the Saraketi family, was extremely powerful. But 12 years ago, when many people died due to war, no one knows what happened in the capital. The king's behavior changed dramatically. The central palace was covered with blood every day. Before the blood could be cleaned, heads would roll around again. On the floor where he would step next, whose corpse had once lain there? The two soon enter the great hall. Eric escorts the princess as they pay their respects together. "We greet your majesty the king." The man on the throne wears a mocking expression. At this moment, the girl suddenly bends down. After taking a few steps forward, she lies directly on the ground. The king keeps staring at his sister. "It's been so long since we've seen each other. Miesha's complexion has improved so much. It seems you'll have children soon." Since their wedding night, he has been trying hard to avoid the king's suspicion, because he doesn't want someone who knows nothing to inexplicably experience the pain of childbirth. Although this is what he thinks in his heart, what he says is different. "I also hope we can have children soon. It's just that my wife's body hasn't fully recovered yet. There's no need to mention that. More than that, I've heard some very interesting things from the maids. Although the evidence from your first night was covered in blood, when bathing the princess, the maids found her body completely clean. Even from the first night until now, whether on the bed or on the princess's body, everything has been spotless. What's this? Don't you want to have an heir with royal blood?" Only now does Eric realize his mistake. "Aren't you quite eloquent? Come on, tell me what you're really thinking. I hear you haven't even touched the princess. Do you want to annul the marriage at the temple?" No, how could I have such thoughts? He hadn't expected the maids to report even such private matters to the king. The king's smile becomes increasingly sinister. "Is that so? The Cladenir family has actually fooled the royal family. My Miesha is so lovely, yet you won't even touch her. Can I not consider your behavior as treason against the imperial family?" Eric's heart sinks. Must he ultimately let the situation become like this? Since the king has spoken the word treason, they have no escape route. Even if he doesn't care about his own life, what about his parents? And those retainers who follow the Cladenir? What fate will they face? The knights he brought to the capital number only about 70. They absolutely cannot resist the imperial guards. The king waves his hand. "Miesha, come here quickly." The girl obediently crawls toward him. "My poor sister, you answer me. Has your husband ever undressed you at night?" But the princess just focuses on playing with his shoes. The king suddenly grabs her hair forcefully. The girl screams in pain. Eric shouts, "Your Majesty, please let go first." "Miesha, am I not asking you a question? Has he touched you or not?" No one expected that the princess, whom everyone considers a fool, would now haltingly describe how her husband treated her on their wedding night. Eric stands frozen, listening to her describe things that never happened. What is this situation? The king stands up abruptly. "Enough. I don't want to hear details about my sister's intimacy with her husband. It's truly disgusting." He kicks Miesha away. "Take her out of here quickly!" Eric steps forward to embrace the girl. His expression has completely changed. No words can describe his feelings at this moment. Is it the humiliation and anger of being framed by the king through such crude means? Or is it the deception by the princess he has been caring for his family? In the carriage, Eric remains silent the entire time. The princess sleeps quietly in his arms. The man's tense expression seems to foretell an approaching storm. As soon as they return to the mansion, he orders, "Today I will care for my wife myself. Don't let anyone come upstairs. Go to the night core and bring Kaelin here." During this time, even from the first-floor hall, the princess's cries can be heard. She struggles desperately in Eric's arms. But how can a frail girl resist a man who has fought on battlefields for years? Kaelin arrives quickly. "Today, don't let anyone near the study. Report to me immediately if anything happens." Upon entering the room, he throws the girl onto the bed in the inner chamber. "Now no one can hear our conversation. Even if you scream your throat raw, no one will come." He grabs the girl's hand and pulls her toward himself. "Do you understand? I mean, no matter what you say, no one will hear. I already know you can communicate with others, so go ahead and speak." Miesha is completely unable to move. This man's oppressive presence is too strong. She pulls up the corners of her mouth, revealing a silly smile. But obviously this trick no longer works. "I'm very patient. How long do you intend to keep pretending? If I hadn't discovered this today, were you planning to hide it forever? What do you take me for?" A single word husband interrupts everything he was about to say. The familiar intonation makes Eric's eyes widen. "You should stop paying attention to Miesha. Miesha certainly doesn't want your attention anyway." At this moment, he even wonders if he heard wrong. "What did you mean by doing that in front of the king just now?" The girl turns her head slightly. "Everyone will hunt around like hyenas, so we need to prove we're doing well." Miesha's tone is fluent and decisive, but Eric seems to have heard these words somewhere before. Unlike her gentle face and composed voice, Miesha's hands tremble slightly from nervousness. Eric suppresses his urge to investigate further. He releases Miesha. "I'm not trying to rush you. He just momentarily cannot believe she's actually a normal person. What has she been thinking about with that little head of hers all this time?" Eric has heard that when she was young, she witnessed her mother's death firsthand. And afterward, she probably also witnessed many scenes of her siblings being executed by the king. The choice she made to survive was probably to accept contempt and mockery worse than what's shown to beasts. Just imagining what her life has been like until now leaves him speechless. They've known each other for such a short time that he has no right to comfort her after all the hardships she's endured. Besides, that's not something that can be consoled with a simple "you've worked hard." He wants to say something to Miesha, but finally realizes there's nothing he can say. That night, the princess sleeps in the study, while Eric watches over her all night long, until the butler brings breakfast, accompanied by Malika. Eric had thought she would be executed for reporting false information. He didn't expect her to escape unscathed. He stops Malika from waking the princess. Let her sleep a bit longer. He can roughly guess that Malika thinks they did what they hadn't done on their wedding night last night, so she's here to confirm. However, maybe it's better to let her misunderstand. Eric eats breakfast alone. Only now does he realize it's been a long time since he ate by himself. But it feels like chewing sand. The princess quickly recovers her spirits. She begins her daily routine as usual, messing up the table, chewing up the black-haired man's discarded clothes, pulling out the maid's white hair. Just like that, she completes half of her daily tasks. Miesha pretends not to understand the maid's scolding, thinking about that black-haired man, although she's not quite sure why. He seemed very angry yesterday. What if he tells others my secret and drives me away from here? No, although that man seemed very angry. So far, he doesn't seem like a bad person. But if he reveals my secret... Thinking this, the girl hurriedly runs to the other side of the mansion. You're here, Miesha. Did you sleep well last night? Didn't I tell you not to run around when no one's with you? It's dangerous. She throws herself onto the lady's lap. Sure enough, the person begins to stroke her gently. This child seems still half asleep. Thank goodness the lady acts the same as always. Eric's mother is discussing renovating the garden. They plan to use matsu wood for the fence. Miesha knows this material. The sandalwood used in the imperial palace costs 5 times more than matsu wood. Can't they afford expensive materials here? However, aside from the Royal Palace and Celia Palace, she hasn't been to other places. By the way, the Racenton family's dairy farm has started making butter and cheese. Although it's a bit expensive at 20 pesos, I heard the quality is good. So I got some. Miesha is shocked. That little bit cost 20 pesos? The lady picks up a piece to feed her. She remembers a maid saying that a large bag of flour costs 20 pesos. So this palm-sized butter costs the same as a bag of flour. That black-haired man is always worried about the territory's food shortage. If the family doesn't have money, they might as well buy flour instead. Miesha, is it good? You're eating it with such relish. The lady looks at her with overflowing affection. Then let's buy 5 DEI worth to keep for Miesha. They usually buy butter for only 4 pesos, while 5 DEI is 100 pesos. Why do the black-haired man and the lady become so happy just watching me eat? Whatever the reason, their considerate attitude is definitely not just for me. Because the princess has always been a plague-like existence, so no one would treat her this way. Soon it's evening. When Eric comes to pick up Miesha, the girl who always rushes toward her actually refuses. She doesn't want to be alone with this man. But Eric doesn't give her a chance to escape. The next instant, she's already lifted lightly into the man's arms. Eric whispers in her ear in a voice only she can hear. Miesha, you'd better come with me obediently. Because of what happened yesterday, I haven't told anyone yet. After learning the princess was pretending to be insane, Eric starts making her eat by herself. Miesha hates this man. Eric seems to stand in opposition to her. This man is dignified, refined, and emotionally stable, while she hasn't used knife and fork for over 10 years. Even something as simple as cutting meat is very difficult for her. But the man seriously praises her for doing well. Her hands shake so badly, yet he still lies through his teeth praising her. She drops the knife and grabs food with her hands, stuffing it into her mouth. Eric is stunned by her behavior. Why this again? The girl furrows her pretty brow, showing disgust at his question. If the maids find the table completely clean later, they'll suspect me again. Unexpectedly, the man suddenly lowers his head, covering his flushed face. Don't do that. I understand what you mean, Miesha. She's confused. Is he angry? But her poor table manners aren't new. It seems she needs to be more restrained in the future. The girl's chin is suddenly held. Look up. The man begins carefully wiping the dirt from her face. What should I do? Should I wipe your face clean and feed you like before? Miesha nods. He's quite perceptive. Give me your hand. He takes her hand and wipes it carefully. Looking at this, the girl who's not used to being treated gently looks away. The routine after meals is helping her bathe. This time Eric doesn't leave. A basin of ice-cold water pours over the girl's head. Malika, who treats the princess like a fool, complains without reservation. How come this girl never catches cold? I really want to rest for a few days. Miesha also wonders why she never catches cold. But speaking of which, usually it's the fat maid who bathes her. Why is it her today? Miesha grins and turns to grab Malika's hair. Malika doesn't expect her to resist and angrily pushes back, but she miscalculates this time. What are you doing? The man's voice comes from behind. Malika feigns surprise. Why are you here? As you can see, Princess Miesha suddenly started struggling. Sometimes she gets hurt from this, so I had no choice but to do this. How ridiculous, taking advantage of her inability to speak and spouting nonsense. Just as Malika is about to persuade Eric to leave, the man walks in. I'll bathe her. My goodness, how can you personally bathe Princess Miesha? She might fall into the water or suddenly jump out. There's no need to trouble yourself. Eric looks at her coldly. Then shouldn't I, as her husband, be the one to do it? Malika tries to discourage Eric by describing the complex bathing process. Bathing Princess Miesha isn't easy. You need to wash her hair with this first, then apply essential oil to her hair ends, carefully dry the water droplets, then use moisturizing lotion. Lies. In the past, they clearly just used soap to wash her. But even so, it's better than in the palace. In the palace, they would just throw her into alkaline water like washing clothes. Under Eric's insistence, Malika reluctantly leaves. Although he's driven away the maid, Eric faces a dilemma. He turns his head away, stammering. Can you wash yourself? How could she bathe herself when she's supposed to be insane? Eric bites his lip, his face flushed as he forces out the words. I understand. Wait a moment. Miesha is a bit confused. Why does he seem angry again? But continuing to anger him won't benefit her, so she decides to cooperate. Eric immediately covers his face when he notices the princess approaching. What are you doing? But the next instant, all awkwardness and shyness completely disappear. After the girl drops the towel, he only sees the whip marks and scars covering her body. The wounds are like thorns, reminding him of the torture this girl has endured. The girl's eyes are indifferent, as if this is all commonplace. For Miesha, when she first saw Eric's imposing and threatening physique, she resolved not to defy him, because she has always survived this way. But when she sees the man's expression clearly, memory and reality overlap. Fear instantly occupies her mind. She starts to retreat. I think I made a mistake. Although this man looks scary, he's mostly been gentle with me. But now his expression, am I about to be beaten again? Although she doesn't know why he's angry, what's the point of knowing? When have I ever been beaten for a reason? But the expected pain doesn't come. Miesha looks up in surprise. Even the scars are so deep. How heavy-handed were they? Who exactly did this to you? She hears concern in this man's voice. So he's sympathizing with her? Perhaps it's the first time hearing such a sorrowful voice. Miesha finally speaks again. The king, she feels she should respond to him, though she speaks very awkwardly. This is an unexpected yet expected answer. Eric's eyes become sad, just because of her response. He becomes so flustered he doesn't know how to react. After steadying his emotions, he holds Miesha. Let's finish washing quickly and get out. You'll catch cold otherwise. Eric rolls up his sleeves. Tell me if you feel uncomfortable. After all, this is my first time helping someone bathe. Only now does the girl realize he might not be angry, because his eyes are now full of sympathy. She wants to say that washing her like a dog would be fine, but he's being so careful. Soaking in the hot water, Miesha discovers for the first time that bathing can be such a pleasant experience. She begins to feel drowsy. This feels so good. The girl closes her eyes contentedly, so she doesn't notice that the man washing her so carefully is now blushing furiously. When Eric is scrubbing her back, the girl can't help but laugh. She dodges Eric's hand. The man is startled by her gaze, his face instantly turning bright red as he looks away. The usually calm and composed man babbles incoherently, saying sorry. This shy feeling spreads like a contagion, infecting Miesha too. Even she starts acting strange. Eric was already busy during the day, and after bathing, he collapses exhausted on the bed. Miesha thinks he must be completely worn out. The man reaches toward her. Lie down and rest now. You must be tired too. Miesha obediently lies beside him, thinking, the one who should rest isn't me but you. Eric's breathing becomes steady. The girl just stares quietly at his sleeping face. She really can't understand this man. Yesterday she clearly saved his life, yet he still threatens her. Today, seeing the scars on her body, he shows a sad expression. Sometimes when he sees her poor table manners, he can't hide his disgust. Has he fallen into a deep sleep? However, someone like him must be considered a rare good person, right? The girl pushes open the door and goes to the next room. The moment she closes the door, Eric opens his eyes. He sits up from the bed, staring at the light coming through the door crack, followed by the girl's faint voice. He can't help but curiously approach. The voice becomes clearer and clearer. Adil, go get me some headache medicine. It should be in my room. Currently, food poisoning is breaking out in the northern part of the capital. 5 DEI of medicine has risen to 7 jure. Miesha is learning to use a fork. Don't criticize her. The girl's tone is fluent and firm. But listening carefully, these are all conversations others have had. The next day, maids routinely examine the princess's body. The lord hasn't touched her again. Why does he still dismiss everyone? Look, her body is so clean there's not a trace. For Miesha, this has happened countless times. But today her mood is particularly bad. Perhaps it's because that black-haired man awakened her sense of shame yesterday. And he's discovered another strange behavior of hers. In the past, when she pretended to be insane, she never cared about others pointing and gossiping. But after he discovered her true nature, she actually cares whether he'll mock her. Maleka looks puzzled. Doesn't he feel desire even seeing your naked body? Well, who would want someone like you to bear their children? Miesha turns around. Her body has indeed been too clean recently. Not even a single bruise. She should find a chance to fall hard. That way she can reduce others' suspicions. How should she do it? She doesn't want to get hurt too badly. Should she just damage something expensive? No, the garden here can only use ordinary wood. She can't add insult to injury. Miesha looks at the stairs nearby. The fat maid and she still have some distance. As long as she controls the force, she shouldn't fall too hard. Though it will hurt, there's no better way. Miesha is about to pretend her leg gives way on the next step and fall, when a pair of large hands suddenly reach out. You're truly worrying. The girl is pulled back. No, when did he get here? Miesha doesn't want to see him at all, especially after last night's events. Eric brings her to the greenhouse. All the birds here have been moved away. But do you really hate birds? The girl responds with a sound. He continues asking, why? Is there a special reason? Because birds ate what? She doesn't want to answer. After glaring at Eric, she turns her head away. The man continues asking, "Do you feel uncomfortable somewhere when you speak? No one else will come here. You can feel at ease." Actually, she's not worried about others coming. The girl's hesitant manner makes the man realize something. "Do you have difficulty speaking?" She usually speaks fine in her head, but when she actually tries to speak, she finds it so difficult. "Haven't you talked to people for too long? So you don't know how to organize the language in your mind anymore?" She indeed doesn't know how to explain, and this person can actually guess why she can't speak normally. The man continues analyzing, "So that's why you imitate others' speech? Don't just nod, try speaking. I can see you can give short answers." Miesha finds. She seems unable to refuse Eric. Every time she sees his very serious face, even if she's unwilling, she always feels she should answer him. "I know." The moment she speaks, she's startled by her own voice. The embarrassing feeling surges up again. "It's okay. Speaking often will make it better and better." Or, the man takes her hand. "How about you learn to speak from me?" Eric places her hand on his throat. "Human vocal cords should be in this area. Do you feel it?" He then begins making different sounds while explaining. The vocal cords move according to volume changes. The girl feels the vibration from her fingertips. "My pronunciation sounds comfortable, doesn't it? Someone taught me this during my voice change. Try it now." She touches her own neck, wondering in her heart what voice change means. As the sounds change, she also feels her vocal cords vibrating. Eric smiles. "Do you feel it? You can try speaking. Anything is fine. What is voice change?" Eric is stunned again, then bursts into laughter. "Sorry, this is your first question. Why would you ask such a strange thing? When people reach a certain age, their voice changes. That's voice change. Is there anything else you want to ask or need?" She does have a very urgent question. The Lord hasn't touched her again. Why does he still dismiss everyone? What does that mean? Seeing the man suddenly freeze, can't he understand? Thinking this, Miesha suddenly turns around and lifts her legs. Only now does Eric realize he heard correctly. He frantically stops the girl. "No, don't do that. I understand. Don't ever make that gesture again. When will we complete what we should have done on our wedding night?" Upon hearing this, Eric stammers about needing time. "How about we become closer first? That way we can reduce some of the discomfort between us." Before Miesha can understand his meaning, he already stands up. "Let me show you around the greenhouse." The king once used their failure to consummate their marriage as an excuse to charge the Cladenir family with treason. So she doesn't understand why Eric always seems so unhurried. Moreover, the king has maids watching them. Not long after, Eric says in surprise, "So you actually don't have trouble with your legs?" The girl smiles slyly like a cat. "Thinking about it, I've been completely fooled by you from start." Of course, that's something she achieved through hard practice. "How on earth did you do it?" Miesha still isn't good at expressing herself. After some thought, she decides not to explain for now. Watching her open her arms, Eric also stops in his tracks. "Do you need a hug? You really did walk much more than usual today." She fiddles with her hair. This man never forces her to do anything, nor does he press her for answers. What a relief. He's even better than she imagined. It feels like this tenderness might last a very long time. One day before the wedding, a priestess explained to her what to expect on the first night. Since it was just a formality, the priestess recited the steps in a monotone. It left her with a strange feeling. The priestess also mentioned that the process would bring intense physical pain, so she had always assumed it was just a troublesome obligation. But now, to her, it has become one of the key ways to solidify this marriage. Yet ever since her conversation with this man a few days ago, he has been finding excuses to delay. Even though his life too is in the king's hands, why is she the only one feeling anxious? Noticing her gaze, Eric asks, "Do you have something to say to me?" The girl's voice carries a hint of irritation. When will we finally grow closer? What if the tenderness he's shown so far is all an act? What if he's delaying just to make it easier to annul the engagement later and send her away? If that's not the reason, could it be? She recalls Maleka's words, that even if she stripped naked, he wouldn't feel the slightest desire. Whenever people here treat her kindly, she's flooded with anxious thoughts. That's why she wants to secure this marriage as soon as possible. Because she loves living here so much. Sometimes, it even feels like she's returned to those days. Eric, who hasn't gotten a response from the girl for a while, now looks visibly nervous. "Miesha, are you feeling unwell? I've been calling you several times." She doesn't know how to express her unease. So she simply repeats what the maid said. After all, who would let someone like that carry their child? Eric looks shocked. "What are you talking about? Who dares to say such things to you?" From the sharp tone, it sounds like Lady Maleka. "Oh, so that's what you meant earlier." Eric's face flushes red again. "I mentioned before that we know nothing about each other." There it is again, that kind of talk. She throws aside the pillow and repeats what he said before. "How about we become closer first? That way we can reduce some of the awkwardness between us." Eric suddenly understands. "I wondered why you were so willing to listen to me that day. You didn't think that by listening to me you could do that thing, did you? You're quite cunning. But I also need time to prepare mentally. After all, it's not something to be done casually. As for how to do it, let's discuss it tonight." But she clearly heard that it could be done even on the first meeting. That night, Eric places the candlestick by the bedside. The situation is quite complicated right now, and there are the maids who came with you. In short, you want to do what should be done on the first night, while I want to understand you better. So how about you tell me something about yourself each night? Anything will do. If you do that, I'll cooperate with you too. Let's start with something simple. What kind of food do you like, my lady? The girl answers, meat. Eric seems surprised. I thought you would like cakes or cookies. I like fruits and vegetables too, because on the battlefield we could only eat dry, tasteless food. At the mention of the battlefield, Miesha's eyes light up, as if expecting him to continue. Seeing her reaction, Eric laughs. Don't you feel bored staying at home all the time? She doesn't understand what bored means because she has always lived this way. But now she must find a way to answer him. Eric! Stop talking, the man is surprised. Are you imitating my mother's speech this time? He starts laughing again. But I'm happy that you can call my name. Say it once more. This request isn't difficult. So Miesha calls his name alone. Eric's expression softens, as if something has touched him. Very good. My lady has such a beautiful voice. He cups Miesha's face. In any case, you listened obediently this time too. Then let me show a small gesture of sincerity. He gently kisses the girl's forehead. Miesha freezes as if paralyzed, staring at him blankly. This is the first time Eric has felt such intense curiosity about someone. Not only has she perfectly deceived everyone since childhood, but even he, who has treated countless wounded, failed to notice that her leg disability was an act. In a place like the ruthless royal palace, she managed to maintain her disguise until now. It's truly astonishing. Eric begins to feel curious about her past, curious about what goes on in her little head every day, including everything about her. His desire to understand her heart grows stronger. But the next morning, he hears news of his mother's furious rage. When he rushes over, he sees the girl lying pale in bed. Eric's mind goes blank, while his mother is so angry she's ready to go on a killing spree. Just this morning, the maid checked Miesha's body as usual, after confirming that the two still hadn't been intimate. Maleka suddenly freezes. She stares intently at Miesha's face. The princess has been acting strangely lately, but I can't say what's wrong. The plump maid beside her asks, by the way, are you going to see them today? No, tomorrow. I wonder if we can get something worthwhile this time, though Miesha can't understand what they're saying. Her instincts developed over more than 10 years in the royal palace signal danger. Why are all 3 pillars of the kingdom like that? Exactly, how long do we have to stay here? Now Miesha can be certain that if she doesn't create some commotion today, they will definitely become suspicious. So Miesha begins to make a scene. She runs a full circle around the 2nd floor, and in front of countless maids, leaps from the balcony. The flower bed full of blooms serves perfectly as a cushion. The lady sits beside the bed. Her voice is unusually cold. Since you're here to monitor, then monitor properly. Aren't you too idle every day? Is it so difficult to watch her and prevent her from getting hurt? Mother, seeing her son arrive, her stern expression softens slightly. Eric's gaze remains fixed on Miesha, completely ignoring the plump maid's explanations. His expression is grave, as he touches the girl's forehead to check her temperature. But actually, Miesha is pretending to sleep. Sensing the heavy atmosphere, she dares not open her eyes. So naturally, she doesn't see Eric's expression mixed with anger and heartache. Check her over, Eric says to the girl behind him. The girl is called Gra. She's a doctor from the Cladenir Knights. From now on, I'll arrange for a maid from the estate to serve my lady. You two return to the royal palace and report this matter. He sends away Maleka and Edil. After the others leave, the lady begins to act strangely. I never thought cooperating with those incompetent people would be so difficult. We should just tear them all apart. Don't you think so, Eric? Mother probably sees the shadow of her younger daughter in Miesha again. On a spring day before Rogel's birthday, she entered the forest alone without her wet nurse's company, and was knocked down by a drunken knight, losing her life. That day, Mother completely lost her sanity. Not only the knight, but also the groom who gave the horse to the knight, and even their entire families were executed. Father condemned Mother's actions as too extreme, and from then on the two of them were completely estranged. Today, Mother's state is extremely similar to that day, so it's best not to let her interfere now, because there's no telling what crazy things she might do. Mother, this is my wife's matter. I'll handle it. Gra finishes her examination just then. The young lady only sprained her right hand. I've already treated it. It shouldn't cause major problems with movement. The lady's tense nerves finally relax. Thank goodness. You're right. I should go back and calm down. Before leaving, she kisses Miesha's forehead. I trust you'll handle this properly. Gra keenly senses that the current captain is terrifying. She quietly edges away. I'll go out too. Wait, you said there were no major wounds elsewhere. Are you certain? Gra immediately backs down. I'm very sorry. Actually, the young lady has many repeatedly injured areas, and the wounds are all deep, but most are old injuries from long ago that can't be treated, so I didn't mention them. Is that so? I absolutely won't tell anyone. You know I've never leaked secrets without permission. Eric interrupts her. You're not busy lately, are you? The girl feels an ominous premonition. Actually, many people mistakenly think I'm idle. Starting tomorrow morning, you'll work here. Gra is stunned. Eric gives her no chance to refuse. If you understand, then get out. He slams the door shut. Only he and Miesha remain in the room. His voice is still cold. I know you're not sleeping. Why did you do this? You must have a reason. Miesha remains determined to play dead. She doesn't want to face Eric, but her trembling body betrays her. The man sighs helplessly and softens his tone to coax her. It's all right, Miesha. Tell me, what caused today's commotion? Only then does the girl open her eyes. There is a reason, then tell me. It's a bit hard to explain. Eric gives up. Miesha, you absolutely cannot let yourself get hurt again. You'd be better off breaking things or doing something else. Seeing the girl still wearing an evasive expression, he moves closer. You can do anything, just don't hurt yourself. Do you understand? Promise me now that you won't hurt yourself again? The girl nods quickly. I promise you. Only then does Eric breathe a sigh of relief. Then rest now. If you're hungry, just call me. Seeing the girl still looking energetic, do you have something else to say? Is that person my maid? Eric almost laughs in exasperation. You're injured like this and you're still curious about that? I've arranged it temporarily. Don't you like her? The girl shakes her head. That's good. I heard she's a student of a famous doctor, so she's skilled at treating external injuries. Though she looks delicate, she can easily take down 2 wolves. And she's very tight-lipped. How tight? She absolutely won't be bought by anyone. But since she's a doctor, she hasn't been captured for interrogation. Just to be safe, you'd better continue acting for now. Do you remember Kalen, who was guarding the gate when we went to the royal palace? From now on, I'll have him guard the 2nd floor constantly. Kalen lost 2 fingers under torture, so he's a left-handed swordsman. He's the most trustworthy person I know. But I haven't told him about your situation, so you don't need to worry too much. In any case, since you're injured, I'll put aside the night's affairs and stay with you for a while. With each sentence he speaks, Miesha's expression changes accordingly. By the time he mentions resting, the girl's undisguised joy makes Eric's heart tremble. He knows that besides him, no one has seen these expressions of hers. He reluctantly strokes the girl's head. I'll handle some urgent matters and be right back. Miesha's expression becomes even more excited, and this emotion seems to infect him too. But unexpectedly, the girl suddenly sits up the next second and pounces directly at him, muttering, "Get closer, prepare my heart, now." Eric is initially confused, then understands what she's saying. For the first time, he scolds the girl. What are you talking about? You're injured. What are you trying to do? However, what frustrates him even more is that, despite being clearly angry, his gaze cannot move away from the girl at all. Don't even think about it until you recover. After saying this, he can't help but look at her again. Miesha's eyes are slightly red, and her mouth is pouting. Look, she's even angry now, but problems need to be solved. Why are you so eager to do that thing? After a moment, the girl finally speaks. I heard you haven't touched the princess at all. Are you planning to go to the temple to annul the marriage? Logically speaking, you should deal with her immediately. Weren't you originally planning to marry Rakane? As familiar words pour from her mouth one by one, Eric realizes that she knows everything, and has been concerned about what Albertic said. Miesha, I will absolutely never annul the marriage. We will spend our lives together, so we have plenty of time. Therefore, there's no need to rush into doing that thing when we don't understand each other. The girl's mouth is still pouting, clearly unconvinced. Are you thinking strange things in your head again? If you're curious or worried about something, just ask directly. I'll answer everything honestly. Or do you think I'm hiding something from you? You used to sit on my lap and read various documents often. You've seen all the classified information. At this point, what could I possibly hide from you? Eric knows he can't rush her. Rest well today. If you can't sleep, would you like the maids to keep you company? Why? Miesha doesn't understand why he suddenly mentions the maids. Don't you always play in the maids' workshop? I see you having fun with them. Not having fun. Then what's it for? The workshop is quiet. The maids keep talking, and I hear everything. So you go there to gather information. He suddenly has a suspicion. Did you do the same thing in the royal palace? The girl nods happily. Exactly. Do you know why the court earl's head is still attached? Do you know how much money Lady Maleka gave to headmaid Amelia? I know all of this. Also, Adel has long said she dislikes the white-haired butler. She likes big, burly men. The rough-and-tumble type. The gossip about acquaintances shocks Eric. Wait, you're saying the butler likes Adel? And he was rejected? What surprises him even more is that, apparently, all of Miesha's behaviors up to now have been meaningful. Perhaps she could. Thinking this, he moves closer to Miesha. Even his voice becomes much gentler. I want to chat closer to you. The girl shows an expectant expression. Will they finally do it today? But immediately, Eric throws a wet blanket on her. Why does Lady Maleka pay Amelia extra money? Did she cause trouble? Or is it because she wants the position of a maid who can take care of you? Her expectations dashed, Miesha turns away sulkily. But unfortunately, the simple-hearted girl is no match for the man. You have to tell me so we can become close quickly. The girl reluctantly spits out a few words. Meeting tomorrow, Maleka, the 3 pillars of the royal palace. Eric begins to piece together the information. The 3 pillars refer to the kingdom's 3 great families. Among them, the king's maternal family, which had been reorganized several years ago, is now in a state of being famous in name only. Rakane once spoke to him about something incomprehensible, and the person who was secretly watching them then was Maleka. It seems the pillar she's meeting is the Crispin family. I need to send people to investigate both sides. Miesha didn't expect him to grasp the key point so quickly. A ridiculous idea sprouts in her heart. If this man... Just then, a kiss suddenly lands on her cheek. She covers her face and looks at Eric. The man's face is redder than hers. This is a reward for answering my question. She stares blankly at the person before her. If this impulsive man is really as she thinks, then what should she do? The next day, the newly appointed maid faces Malika's harassment. What do you mean? You're saying the things I brought are harmful to the young lady's health? Who knows if this ointment is poisoned? How can it be used carelessly on Princess Miesha? Gra gets angry. How dare they bully her? She scoops up a lump of ointment and puts it directly in her mouth, swallowing it with a gulp. See? Nothing happened. Since you're so worried, why don't you try some too? Eric smiles. Choosing her was indeed the right decision. He walks toward Miesha and gently instructs her. My lady, I'll be back before noon. It won't take long, so rest for a while. Then to everyone's shock, he bids farewell. I entrust my wife to your care. Actually, he still doesn't quite understand Miesha's behavior yesterday. He doesn't know why she would hurt herself to continue the act. Although it was an opportunity to suppress the royal palace maids, could it be that this was also part of her plan? To figure out Miesha's true intentions, he needs to remove all those spies first. Then, slowly, scenes of what the girl endured in the royal palace flash before Eric's eyes. At this moment, he seems to become a different person. Soon, he dumps the night training work on Albertic. Do you know how busy I am? Besides meeting women, what else do you have to do? Albertic, hit where it hurts, stutters his defense. Fine, you'll be in charge starting tomorrow. He decides to temporarily hand over the knight's training to someone else before Miesha recovers. Also, he sends several knights skilled in infiltration to follow Malika and the Crispin people. Go call Adil, don't let Mother know. Adil is highly capable. Since he was young, she has been appointed by Mother as head maid. After she and Malika reported to the palace yesterday, she cleverly obtained a handwritten copy of the relevant report from the court earl. However, if the maid replacing Malika is the same type of person, then all of this would be meaningless. To intervene in the selection of royal palace maids rather than him who has lived on battlefields for 12 years. Edel is more suitable. After all, she has always remained in the capital, responsible for communicating with other families and gathering intelligence. For investigating Malika's bribery of Nemalia, there is no one more suitable than her. Edel immediately finds an entry point. I heard that Nemeria's right-hand man, Viscountess Manel, is troubled by her brother-in-law's affairs. If we help her solve this problem, she'll do everything she can to help us. Eric returns to the estate before noon. Upon opening the door, he sees Gra teaching Miesha to paint. Gra excitedly reports what the lady did today, but the man's eyes contain only his wife's adorable face. Eric raises the corner of his mouth unconsciously, bending down to wipe the watercolor from Miesha's face. Gra just thinks their captain is a lovesick madman. The lady clearly doesn't understand, yet the captain orders her to read to the lady. Not only that, his treatment of the girl, whether in actions or words, is gentle to a degree that leaves her dumbfounded. That's enough for today. You can go back. Seeing Gra spacing out, Eric urges again. Didn't you say you were busy? Come back tomorrow morning. Ah, so I still have to do the doctor's work. Do you have anything else to say? No. See you both tomorrow then. After Gra stands outside the door completely confused, she gets angry. What kind of way is this to order people around? 1 salary for 2 jobs? If I'd known this, I might as well have stayed in the village treating patients. Kaylin beside her remains calm. You'll receive 2 salaries. Really? Then I have nothing to complain about. But Eric suddenly opens the door, startling her. Where are the clothes for my lady to change into? Ah, right, I also need to bathe the lady. No need. I'm asking where the clothes are. On the rack below. Before she finishes speaking, the door slams shut, leaving only a thank you that might have been her imagination. I mean, though I'm used to the captain's way of speaking only key points, but this... Kaylin thinks she's making a big deal out of nothing. People who've worked as commanders all speak that way. That's not what I mean. How should I put it? 1 second he's stone-faced. The next he's using a gentle tone to greet the young lady. What's wrong with being respectful to one's own wife? No, the captain clearly can't communicate with the young lady. But the way he looks at her... Never mind, it's nothing. Maybe they just have a good relationship. Kaylin glances at her. Since I haven't seen how the captain treats the young lady, I'm not sure, but he's always been a person who values etiquette. Though he's usually cold, he's never mistreated us, has he? That's true. As long as you don't hide anything from him, there won't be problems. Exactly. After all, the captain values honesty above all. At this moment, this person who values etiquette and honesty is about to bathe his wife. Was painting fun? The girl doesn't answer but bluntly makes a request. No fairy tale books? Eric turns to look at her. What? Don't want that. I want to hear books for adults. Right, reading books that help your speech would be better. Next time I'll have her bring novels. Since they have lots of dialogue, Miesha awkwardly looks away. Also, that person lacks basic manners, so conversation is impossible. I understand. I'll have her bring some books on improving manners? Eric spreads his arms. Well then, let's go over there. The bath water is ready. But unexpectedly, the girl suddenly dodges him. He looks puzzled. Miesha? The girl's voice is small, embarrassed. Eric's face gets embarrassed. I'll feel uncomfortable. My face gets embarrassed? What does that mean? Your face turns red every time you bathe me. Why embarrassed? After saying this, she points toward the door. I want to wash myself. Eric, go out. The man is confused. But your arm is injured, isn't it? If you wash yourself. This time Miesha doesn't answer him, but clear emotional changes are visible on her face. She's unhappy again. Eric speaks in a negotiating tone. Then I'll help you wash off the paint. And wash your hair before going out. Is that okay? Only then does Miesha reluctantly agree. Speaking of which, you don't seem to like answering much. Eric gently washes her fingers. From now on, answer questions with simple conversation, because no matter what you do, you only improve through practice. But the girl pulls her hand away with a red face. Go out now. Can you manage by yourself? It's fine. Go out now. Seeing her stubborn appearance, Eric actually laughs. I understand. Call me anytime if you need help. As soon as he closes the door, the sound of something falling comes from inside. He turns back nervously, ready to go in again. But soon the sound of splashing water comes from inside. Miesha, attempting to bathe independently for the first time, is very unhappy. Can't do this. Tomorrow Gra will wash me. Fine, starting tomorrow she'll do it. Eric smiles indulgently, thinking she even put her nightgown on backwards. Come here, let me dry you properly. That night, he sits by the bed massaging her wrist, while asking how she spent the morning. I like Gra, that's good. He sees that Miesha's hands are wrinkled from the water. Are there any inconveniences right now? No, good. Didn't you say you like eating meat? I've already told the kitchen. But why were you so thin and weak before? Miesha thinks about it. Explaining seems too troublesome, so she starts imitating others' speech again. Oh, why bother preparing food? It's such a hassle. After all, more ends up everywhere else than in the mouth. Just give some random vegetables. Were Mulika and Dairaf your maids from the beginning? Yes. Originally there were 5, now there are 2. Eric's atmosphere changes. His tone is casual, but careful listening reveals an underlying chill. I see. Their attitude toward you seems quite disrespectful. Miesha keenly senses his emotional change. No. If they get hurt, Belmar will know. Belmar is the name the king used before ascending the throne. The girl's body trembles slightly. Noticing her fear, Eric immediately changes the subject. Speaking of which, in just a few days you've become much more fluent in speaking. Could have been better, but couldn't practice. Why couldn't you practice? Because I originally wanted to practice at night, but every time I got up, you would do this. She doesn't know how many times she tried to secretly leave, only to be unconsciously pulled back into Eric's embrace. Eric doesn't realize that he unconsciously hindered his wife's language learning. He apologizes with a red face and tells her to practice freely from now on. Miesha points to her forehead. I spoke, so now here. Eric looks surprised, but he quickly understands what the girl wants. Are you an information broker? You want a reward for just one sentence? The girl doesn't understand what an information broker is, but from then on, she becomes increasingly skilled at speaking, and her questions multiply accordingly. Surprisingly, she often asks very basic questions. What's swindler? What about damned? How do girls my age usually live? What do others think of the king? As conversations increase, Miesha becomes very fluent in speaking. She lifts her little face with a proud expression. Because these are all words I already knew how to say. They're all things I've thought about in my head. I answered you, now kiss me. How about speaking more politely from now on? Why? Since we're husband and wife, wouldn't it be better to speak politely? But I'm royalty while the son of the Cladenir family is at most an earl. Why should I respect you? Eric laughs heartily. What can we do about that? Because you married me, you've also become a noble now. Why is that? He explains the kingdom's laws to the girl. Except for the king. When people of different classes marry, they maintain the status of the lower party after marriage. Eric kisses her hand. Did I disappoint you? No, I like life here, so even if I become like a mere noble, it doesn't matter. That's good. Miesha's eyes, focused on listening to him speak, are adorable. And that little mouth that carefully pronounces each word is also, why didn't he notice at first? His wife is so adorable and beautiful. The girl plays with his hair. You're very kind. I'm glad I saved you. What does that mean? When you were about to be treated as a traitor by the king, didn't I save your life? Eric looks down. If he hadn't married, he wouldn't have faced those dangers. But the girl's proud expression, her rosy cheeks, and her chattering lips make him feel that even so, what does it matter? Yes, I'll be grateful. More than that, what moves his heart is her constantly changing expressions. I've been happy since marrying you, really, because everything about her is too endearing. He can't look away. You should close your eyes now, he urges, quickly. The girl closes her eyes. Eric looks tenderly at his girl. Your mouth is all stiff. Relax a bit. Unlike what Miesha learned from the priest, Eric's behavior seems strange to her. There's nothing edible in her mouth, so why does he keep lingering? When Eric pulls away, he sees Miesha's expression of both embarrassment and shock. He can't help but laugh, kissing her forehead and cheeks repeatedly. Miesha, does it feel strange? Yes. She feels very strange. Wait, she pushes the man away forcefully. It's not like this. Do you really know how? No. Have you done this before? You haven't, right? This isn't how it's done. That has nothing to do with the upper body. I learned from the priest, so I know clearly. Eric catches her wildly gesturing hands. I'm doing this to reduce the pain you mentioned. But Miesha firmly believes she's right. No, you might be mistaken. Eric presses her hands back. If you keep doing this, we can't do anything. She turns her face away and continues protesting. Don't be so stubborn. I'm doing this all to save you. Hearing it's for himself. Eric's joy overflows in his chest. For me? I'm so moved. It seems I'll need to spend more time because I don't want my dear wife to feel pain. Hey, why don't you understand? I feel the same way about you, my lady. I never thought we'd understand each other like this. I'm really happy. The next day, the plump maid and Malika are confused. What's the situation? Did they succeed or not? Miesha indeed didn't rest well. Eric spent the entire night just kissing her. She didn't expect this man to be completely clueless about such matters. Just then, Gra walks in. Maleka sneers, "Oh, the mistress has arrived." They actually mistake Gra for Eric's mistress. The girl picks up clothes to help Miesha change. The sight before her makes her freeze. What's going on? Is this eczema? When she realizes what it is, she lets out a sharp scream. At this moment, the culprit is listening to Edel's report. The royal palace doesn't plan to replace Maleka. He's afraid continuing the investigation will arouse suspicion, so he can only stop temporarily. Strange. Maleka doesn't seem like a capable person. According to the investigation, she's particularly dishonest. Once she was even caught stealing valuables in the royal palace. She only kept her position by bribing the head maid. Despite this, the king still insists on refusing to replace her. In any case, because of Maleka's situation. Countess Manel has also started sending gifts to the head maid. Since the head maid is very extravagant, things are progressing smoothly. Here's the gift list. Thank you for your hard work. Eric has just taken it. When he hears Edel say, "Young master, why don't you casually take a mistress and withdraw your attention from the young lady?" Meanwhile, compared to Gra's panic, Miesha is seriously digging holes. I mean, is this acceptable? Has the captain really gone mad? She waves her fists. "Young lady, if you don't like the master, scratch him, bite him. Hitting him is fine too." But who can she tell about this? Miesha feels somewhat uncomfortable, but to continue her act of madness, she can't tell Gra that she willingly became close to Eric. Gra is about to lose it. No, but they're husband and wife. Who can stop that? Looking at the innocent young lady, Gra feels a bit sad. Until now, I thought my sister was the most pitiful person in the world. But now I'm not so sure. I have a sister like the young lady, named Tali. To be precise, I have 8 siblings. Families like ours always have many children. But one day, an epidemic spread through the village. Tali became like the young lady after a high fever. My father was an assistant at the blacksmith shop then. Honestly, how could he raise a sick child? So one day, father took Tali out. When he returned, he was alone. It was much later that I learned Tali went to a place she could never return from. Even though I was very sad, I had nowhere to talk about it. Because they would just say, "Who hasn't experienced this kind of thing?" Miesha listens carefully to Gra's story. So harming family members is very common. She learned something new today. After venting, Gra turns away embarrassed. Before, I could only tell these things to horses in the stable or passing dogs. "Young lady, thank you for listening to my story." She used to be called a mouse or monkey, but this time she's being treated like a horse or dog. However, this time, her mood doesn't seem too bad. Gra looks at her intently. "Young lady, actually, when I first saw you, clearly." She waits curiously for Gra to finish, but Eric arrives. She asks Gra to leave first. The girl departs with worry, looking back repeatedly as she goes. Rather than seeing Eric, Miesha wants to hear Gra finish her sentence. So when the man brushes aside her wind-blown hair and wants to kiss his wife, the words "you don't need to come pick me up anymore" completely baffle the man. What does that mean? Don't you like me coming to get you? No, it's not like that. Miesha replies with the words she just learned today. How could I take up your time when you're so busy? Also, whenever I'm with you, everyone stops talking. But when Gra is around, so many people talk to her. I find it interesting. Eric falls silent, then after a while says, "Well, that's true." Miesha stares at him. Why does he seem in a bad mood? Then Eric continues, "If you only want to be alone with Gra, why not dress more formally? Even if you have to change clothes often, it's fine. I've always thought it was too much. Why do they make you wear such poor quality clothes? Is there a special reason? I'd prefer you to wear nicer clothes." Of course, there's a reason. If the Cladenir family learns she's already an unwelcome presence, they'll definitely disrespect her. Soon enough, they'll show their true colors, whether by mistreating her or making her disappear. For the king and his faction, it's a win either way, as it gives them grounds to antagonize the Cladenir family. The reason them keep calling herself Your Highness is simply to provoke their disdain, but she doesn't want to explain this to the man. "I have to dig under the matsu wood tree tomorrow, so I don't want to wear new clothes." Lately, this man seems especially wary of sharp-faced or bulky men. So she tries to avoid saying anything that might trigger him. I see. Then at least change into something softer. And from now on, use tools instead of digging with your hands. This man never stops her but respects all her actions. "You've gotten a bit tanned from playing in the sun, but you look healthy. When I first met you, you were so pale and thin, I was worried. Now you're like a tomboy." This is the first time anyone has noticed the changes in her. It's also the first time she's been out during the day, breathing in the scent of grass. All she wants is to hold on to this peaceful routine and not have it taken away. Just then, footsteps approach from behind, the gardener. Seeing this, Miesha frantically continued digging. Eric, meanwhile, checks if the gardener has cleared the bird's nest. She isn't sure if it's because he's the one who brought her this new life, and sometimes Eric's words strike her as almost magical. The gardener looks like he wants to say something. But in the end, he leaves without a word. Miesha whispers, "That person. Every time I dig, he frowns. Does he hate it when I do this? Miesha, you're digging so deep under the tree. No gardener would like that. Though the man is kind to her, he's firm on such matters. But if he's rude to you, that's a different story. And his words never hurt her. Then I'll punish him." At times like this, she even feels he's like a character from a fairy tale. A king embodying mercy, justice, and wisdom. That night, Eric starts doing those strange, unnecessary things to her again. And if she doesn't answer properly, he stops, and only continues once she responds. Miesha is furious. She takes back everything she thought about him earlier. Suddenly, she remembers what Maleka had said after examining her body a few days ago. Is it because the young count has a lover that his state of mind has changed? Miesha suddenly throws herself at the man. We are lovers, aren't we? Eric is startled. What? Aren't lovers just a special relationship between men and women? Isn't that what we are? No, we are not lovers, but husband and wife? Then, if we are husband and wife, can you still have lovers? Eric suddenly realizes, did the maid say strange things to you again? There are indeed cases where married people form lover relationships with others, but I would not do such a thing. Besides you, there will be no other special women around me. And I also hope that you will not have other lovers besides me. He frowns. I really cannot understand. Failing to maintain one's virtue is one thing, but more importantly, that would be an act of betrayal. Eric's arms holding her tighten until Miesha calls out his name. And only then does the man come back to his senses. More than that, have you been learning your recent way of speaking from Gra? She seems to have been influenced by Gra. Probably. Is it strange? Eric's lips curve upward. No, it's very cute. Miesha thinks that as long as they complete the first night's affair quickly, it will be fine. And the priest never described these strange processes either. But why is she always disturbed by these unnecessary things, stirring up countless emotions that confuse her mind? The next day, the girl receives a gift. The maids have embroidered a bib for her, and Gra laughs even more happily than she does. Young lady, you look so cute, just like a fairy. But the head maid in the distance stares at them with a dark expression. Not long ago, she had made a suggestion to Eric. I do not believe that unconditional loyalty to the head family counts as true devotion. I think when the young master goes astray, appropriate. Her words are cut off halfway. Just speak directly. Don't beat around the bush. Well, how about you casually take a mistress and withdraw your attention from the young lady? Eric is stunned, then his tone becomes cold. A mistress? What kind of loyalty is it to make me share a bed with someone I don't like? But young master, I really cannot understand. After you handed the knights over to Albertic, you spend every day with the young lady. What kind of feelings are you communicating with someone you cannot have a proper conversation with? Why give opportunities to branch family members who covet the heir's position? Also, you have recently only cared about replacing the maid sent from the royal palace. Are those two women really that important? Is it because of negligent management of the young lady that she went to the courtyard to dig up saplings in frustration? The head of the house puts all his energy into drinking women, while the young master focuses all his attention on the pointless task of replacing maids. The current situation makes me uneasy. Eric had not expected Edel to consider so much. Didn't you also say that there are things about the maid Maleka that we don't know? Also, he looks at Karen. Have I delayed many things by accompanying my wife? Besides the night's training, what else? No, you actually solved the recent food problem instead. We gave all the scrap iron war spoils we received to Marquis Witabo, and he was very pleased, giving us several years' worth of food. After all, for Marquis Witabo's territory, which is agriculturally developed due to its vast plains, iron is very precious. Anyway, besides the Harlech iron mine, we have 2 other mines, and our own weaponsmithy cannot even keep up with repairs. Moreover, ever since Lord Albertic took over knight training, it has actually lowered the knights' trust in him. Because after they receive training, they compare him with you, Commander, and all the knights report that Albertic is inferior to you. Eric looks at Edel again. What other concerns do you have? You can speak frankly. Since you are now responsible for important matters and cannot be shaken, Edel looks as if she has been struck. No, it turns out the young master had already considered everything. I was presumptuous. A person who has always judged things rationally, yet at this crucial time of inheriting the family business, does not hesitate to skip training to stay by this woman's side. What disrupts the young master's judgment is actually a mentally unstable woman. And it's not just the young master. I thought the lady only pitied Miesha, but somehow the lady loses her rationality whenever faced with her affairs, just like with Miss Rogel. What should be done? Both the young master and the lady have been bewitched by her. That evening, Eric casually pours water on the ground. He has become skilled at helping Miesha destroy evidence, and the girl suddenly has a new idea. I want to go outside and see. Gra's books say there are many people on the streets. Do you want to go to the commoners' district? Hearing the hesitation in his tone, Miesha begins to persuade him in her own way. The books also say that there are no courtyards in front of shops, only continuous buildings. The commercial district is like that. Just as the man hesitates, the girl's pitiful eyes carry expectation, can't I? I want to see. Eric receives a direct hit to the heart. The next day, under his mother's instructions, the young master takes his wife on their first date outside. His mother is somewhat worried, so she has them bring Gra along. Eric initially wants to refuse, but he suddenly thinks of something. Yes, let's have her come too. But as soon as they reach the commercial district, Eric has Gra get off the carriage and tells her to return in 3 hours. Although Gra is happy to rest, she worries about Miesha, but compelled by Eric, she can only obey. I will return on time. She watches the carriage depart with unease. Nothing will happen, right? After the carriage travels a short distance, Eric pulls open the curtain. Miesha, you can sit up now? The girl sits up with delight, her crystal-like eyes filled with amazement at discovering new things. This is the most prosperous street. There are many people, just like Gra said, right? That white building on the hill is the great temple where we held our wedding. Do you remember? I don't remember because I had taken sedatives then. Eric's eyes drop. So until now, she has never been outside in a conscious state. Then look well. Eric holds her, letting her sit in his arms in a more comfortable position. These things are ordinary to him, but to Miesha they seem very shocking. What does the world look like in her eyes now? Though he wants to know, he should not disturb her now. Throughout the journey, the girl keeps asking questions. What is that? Those are mats used for stalls, but most are poor quality items. Poor quality? If even you think the quality is poor, can they still be used? Eric realizes something. Miesha has a serious misunderstanding about their territory. Because the war lasted 12 years, when it ended, all the soldiers returned at once, causing food shortages. She often sat on his lap secretly reading various documents. And after thinking with her little head, Miesha concluded that the Cladenir territory was not wealthy, though he finds it hard to imagine her concentrating on reading those complex documents when she doesn't even understand basic words, since her thinking is based on the royal palace standard. Plus the food problem, it's natural she would think this way. He slowly explains to the girl, trading companies also reduced their business scale due to the war, leading to decreased tax revenue. Although we were short of funds for a while, that has long been resolved, and now everyone can maintain their livelihood. By this year's harvest season, the problems will be completely solved. Also, my parents don't like luxury and waste, so there are no luxury goods at home. But now the iron mines in the territory have increased to 3, and we are currently trading through the northern ports. Not only that, the blue fox fur that can only be caught at the borders is also a major source of income. At this point, Eric suddenly stops. What is he doing? Forget it, just forget what I just said. He now sounds like someone showing off wealth to win a lover's favor. What's wrong? Nothing. It seems I made you worry. Speaking of which, have you been uncomfortable at the estate because of this? No, absolutely not uncomfortable. It's just that I thought the estate didn't have enough food, so I saved some snacks. If I had known this, I would have eaten my fill. Eric gets off the carriage alone, leaving the coachman to guard the carriage door, and instructs him never to open the door. After learning she hadn't eaten enough, Eric tells her he's getting off to buy food. There should be a bakery nearby. I'll pick some things you like to eat. Wait for me to come back. So their family isn't poor after all. How foolish of her to think so. She has only lived in the small Celia Palace, and as for the Central Palace, she only has memories of being forcibly dragged there. Yet despite this, she still feels proud deep down, clearly receiving treatment worse than animals, but deep in her heart, she still takes pride in being royalty, because if she didn't think that way, she would truly have nothing, and the stable life she longed for was only obtained after she was no longer royalty. She never imagined that the marriage she once feared so much would bring her such peaceful daily life. Suddenly, a shout causes chaos around them. Look, it's the Cladenir family crest! The girl immediately pulls the curtain tight in fear, but the voices from outside make her curious to look again. He's entered the shop. This is the first time I've seen the young master so close. So they're all talking about that man? I heard this is the first time he's appeared in the capital since growing up. I thought so. With a face like that, how could word not spread? I heard from my sister who married into the count's family that she saw him once at the wedding. She said the young master of Cladenir is not on the same level as those famous handsome young men. Do they mean that man is so ugly that everyone knows? The girl continues listening. To put it in one sentence, he's an incomparably beautiful man. I heard he's so handsome that people who see his face stop breathing. What? So everyone seems to really like that man. Also, I heard from my father that if he hadn't turned the tide at the crucial moment, we might have been defeated. A confirming voice comes from nearby. That's right, if not for him, my hometown would have become a sea of fire long ago. Only at this moment does Miesha gain a clear understanding of Eric. He is the hero of victory, and she finally understands why people cheer for him so joyfully, and realizes that the emotion on their faces is awe. But do you know? What? Is that true? Of course we couldn't see the royal wedding because of tight security, which means the young master didn't know she was in that condition when the royal wedding was held. How pitiful. Forget it. What right do we have to pity such a great noble heir? Let's just go look at his face, he's coming out. The moment the man appears among the cheering crowd, Miesha sees 2 dark, gloomy faces. To her, such expressions are more familiar, because the Eric she knows has always endured such gazes. Miesha feels as if she has been struck hard on the head by an invisible club. When Eric returns to the carriage, his expression shows no wavering, still gentle and attentive to her as always. He should be the one receiving cheers and worship, yet now he endures such gazes because of her. She doesn't want to admit that this marriage, which satisfies her so much, is a tremendous tragedy for him. She suddenly feels sorry for the man, and thinking that all this is because of her, she feels apologetic. But if she feels sorry for ruining the man's life, then what about her? Up until now, her life treated like an ant. Who has ever felt sorry for her? When Eric opens the box to give to Miesha, he notices the girl's expression of terror mixed with what seems like anger. The girl suddenly turns away. I won't eat it and don't open the box. I don't like these pastries. What's wrong with her? Not only has she ruined this man's life, but now she's dismissing his sincerity. He must be angry now. But Eric's voice remains steady. It seems something happened while I was away. What happened? What was it? There it is again, those eyes that seem to see through everything about her. Miesha speaks against her heart. Didn't I say I don't like them? But unexpectedly, the man suddenly grabs her and turns her toward him. To be honest, whether you eat these or not doesn't matter to me. It's just that your attitude is completely different from before. So I'm asking what happened while I was away. The walls the girl has built over many years begin to crack, and fear spreads through those cracks. Though I haven't known you long, you are a straightforward person, and usually quite gentle. You wouldn't act a certain way without reason. If you don't want to see certain things, there must be a reason. Eric's words strike through her already crumbling defenses one by one, leaving her with nowhere to hide. Miesha suddenly faints. Soon after, the carriage returns to the town square. Eric still maintains his previous posture. The stone-paved road makes the carriage shake violently, and he carefully protects Miesha's head. Only now does the girl regain her composure. She had panicked earlier and pretended to faint. Miesha falls into distress. Though they hold each other's lives in their hands, this man is the only one who knows her secret. She should even be grateful to the man for cooperating with her. Yet she threw a tantrum in such a situation. It seems that during this time she has grown accustomed to being treated as a human being by them, and has developed useless emotions and self-respect, acting like a fool. She must get along well with this man. So when they return home, no matter what he asks, she must smile. She secretly glances at Eric, but is frightened by his expression. She knows this person is actually quite serious by nature. But recently, the expression he shows her has always been gentle. Just as Miesha feels uneasy, Gra returns. The girl is stunned. The carriage is dark inside. She gets in with questions. Why aren't you two opening the curtains? Eric sighs. In that instant, he senses something. Through the gap in the curtains, he sees several figures on the rooftops moving at extremely fast speeds. Eric's gaze instantly changes. When they return to the estate, they happen to encounter the Count preparing to go out. Though father and son, they regard each other like strangers. Going out again today? At this very moment, he thinks of Edel's words. As he gets off the carriage to greet his father, the Count's carriage has already driven away. Not even a greeting anymore? Eric occasionally feels oppressed by the family crest. He has been taught since childhood that all family matters must be decided with rational and correct judgment. But as the head of the family, is his father properly doing what he should? Actually, Edel's words aren't entirely wrong. There is indeed a need to cut out the rotten parts. Young master, I see there's a box from the high-end bakery in the carriage. Should I take it down? You can have that. Now you can hand the lady over to me. Also, can you use short swords and such? Gra feels she should answer no, but she cannot lie to the commander. She has to tell the truth. Yes, I'm very skilled with anything that can cut. Eric replies with a simple good and carries Miesha back, leaving a confused Gra behind. Two figures are faintly visible in the upstairs window, Maleka and the fat maid. How strange, they don't look like lovers either. The fat maid dismisses this. He might like that type of woman. Look, he even secretly prepared gifts for her. Maleka still looks suspicious. It doesn't matter either way. If they're not lovers, then just make her become his lover. Eric brings Miesha back to the room. He places the girl on the bed. Eric looks at her, lost in thought. He reaches out his hand. Miesha? The moment she is touched, the girl startles awake, her eyes full of fear. Sorry, were you really asleep this time? Don't worry, keep sleeping. I'll prepare dinner, and then... Miesha realizes the man's attitude hasn't changed, so she tentatively grabs his hand boldly. Eric, are you angry with me? She knows the man likes hearing about her. Actually, my mother was from the southern Halid region. So, I'm sorry about what happened earlier. Eric had actually investigated Miesha long ago, but couldn't find information about her mother's background. Miesha's mother was the late king's last queen consort. Unlike the other queen consorts, she was just a daughter from an ordinary family. Unfortunately, shortly after she gave birth to Miesha, the king died. From then on, the third queen consort overnight became like a kite with a broken string. She spent a death-like existence in Celia Palace with the newborn Miesha until Belmar devoured the Salakadi family, and blood was spilled throughout the palace. So there is very little intelligence about the third queen consort. So you hate everything about that region? Yes. Only then does Eric breathe a sigh of relief. It seems I did something useless. That's why I want you to tell me about yourself. What you like, and what you don't like. Telling me these things is also good for you, because it reduces my mistakes? Miesha obediently nuzzles his palm. Just as the girl thinks everything has been covered up, Eric's tone shifts anyway. Thank you for telling me honestly. But besides this, something else happened today, didn't it? Miesha's eyes waver. It's just what I mentioned earlier. Really? Eric sighs more today because of her than he has in the past year. My lady. At the same time, the girl's snoring begins. Eric is shocked. Is she pretending to sleep again? He already guessed that Miesha wouldn't let down all her guard overnight, so it's fine if she doesn't open her heart to him completely. However, he always feels something is wrong. From his observations, Miesha has a strong tendency to avoid things. For those memories hidden deep in her heart, she seems to ignore it, and even she herself is not aware of this. Her behavior in the carriage could be called a kind of warning sign. Eric has witnessed countless deaths on the battlefield and seen many survivors. Even well-trained adults can go insane in an instant from the after effects of seeing such scenes. But her behavior during this time has sometimes been too composed. Because she occasionally acts spoiled, he had overlooked this before. But perhaps one day, Miesha's long-suppressed emotions will suddenly explode. After that day, their relationship quickly returns to normal. The girl tells him what she likes to eat before sleeping, and he instructs the kitchen the next day. They chat about many things over these few days, but none of it is particularly special content. The girl blinks her eyes expectantly. A light kiss like a dragonfly touching water lands on her forehead. She actively tells him what she did during the day, chattering like a little chatterbox, but Eric doesn't know how to calm his turbulent thoughts. Miesha is dissatisfied. That's it? The man experiencing attraction to the opposite sex for the first time is pulled by these chaotic thoughts and actually chooses to escape. Well, don't you have anything else to say to me? After all, the current topics could be discussed with strangers. To Eric, even if she throws tantrums and breaks things, it doesn't matter. As her husband, he has a duty to protect her. The real problem for him is that he doesn't know what results this unfamiliar emotion, which even he cannot control, will ultimately produce, so he always wants to draw boundaries. Miesha seems to sense his mood and answers carefully. I don't know what topics are discussed with strangers, and I don't know what should be discussed in such situations, because the only person who can chat with me is you. Her expression is both aggrieved and embarrassed. At this moment, Eric only feels like a fool. What is he worrying about with someone who gets nervous just talking? How about chatting about what happened during our last outing? You seemed unwilling to explain then, so I didn't press the issue. I know that just thinking about your experiences throws you into chaotic and complex emotions that exhaust you. And I think your inability to hide those emotions from me is actually a good thing. After all, until now, you've hidden them well from everyone else. Miesha asks the question that has been circling in her mind for a long time. Why? Why are you so good to me? Because you're now a member of the Cladenir family too. Of course there are other reasons, but he can't say them yet. A member of the family? Yes, which means we're family now. So my lady, you can throw tantrums at me as much as you want, and you can tell me what's on your mind anytime. It doesn't matter what you do, but there are two things I hope you can keep: integrity. This is very important. Also, remember that we will be in a relationship where we stand on the same side from now on. So I hope you can be like me too. Miesha suddenly draws closer. I think what you're saying is right. After all, they are in a relationship where they hold each other's lives. Eric is amused by her serious expression. Perhaps what I'm saying and what you understand are still a bit different, but I believe that someday our thoughts will align. You must be very tired. Let's sleep early today. The girl who has regained her sense of security feels drowsy. Eric hasn't held her like this for a long time. She can always feel his sincerity toward her from the man. He could have just been superficially kind to her, but perhaps he is someone whose heart is also very warm. The next day, Eric takes her out again. The lady sees them off again. Miesha, enjoy your sightseeing today too. Edel's expression is serious. After the carriage goes far, she finally can't help but speak. Is it all right to continue letting this go unchecked? After all, the young master is also a man. Keeping a young woman by his side constantly might... What are you saying? Rather than such a woman, it would be better to find a young lady from a normal family to be the young lady's maid. So she's referring to Gra. The lady smiles. You really are something. You've seen how Eric gets along with the doctor with your own eyes, yet you still worry about this. Besides, his wife is Miesha. No matter who is around, no one can enter his heart. Haven't you seen? Miesha has become pleasantly plump lately. How cute, though she's still a bit thin. She looks at a nearby maid, go to the kitchen, and confirm what Miesha likes to eat. Adel really cannot understand why both mother and son are so partial to that woman. That night, Eric works alone in his study. Malika appeared at the pawn shop today. She's been quiet for a while. It seems she's about to make another move. But there's still no news from Crispin. At this moment, the door opens. It's actually Miesha coming to find him. He sets aside the documents. Can't sleep. Do you want to sit on my lap like before? A simple no leaves him frozen in place. The girl stands by the door as if ready to flee at any moment, maintaining eye contact with him. I'll say it from here. All right, go ahead. I thought carefully, and I don't dislike you anymore. Eric feels as if he's been struck by lightning, stunned for several seconds before reacting. His voice is full of disbelief. Did you dislike me all along? Miesha doesn't deny it. I don't dislike you anymore. As soon as the words leave her mouth, Eric suddenly stands up. He strides toward Miesha. So you thought carefully and finally discovered you don't dislike me? The girl timidly steps back, her voice becoming much smaller. Are you going to be angry? Seeing Miesha frightened, the man who had just been fired up immediately calms down. No, I'm not going to be angry. Eric takes her hand, as if afraid she'll run away if he's a second late. Come, tell me why you disliked me before. Does it make you uncomfortable when I touch you like this? Miesha thinks about it. No. Eric finally lets out the breath he'd been holding. His tone is helpless. Do you need to think for so long even about such a simple question? It's good that when she asked why he was good to her last time, he answered quite well. Otherwise, it would have caused irreparable consequences. The girl furrows her brow slightly. I don't feel uncomfortable. I just think such things are unnecessary. Is that so? Yes, it's normal for you to think that way. The usually serious man begins to coax his wife. But I'm glad you don't dislike me and don't feel uncomfortable. I also appreciate that you came to tell me immediately after realizing these things. Miesha's cheeks flush slightly with praise, and she can't stop the corners of her mouth from turning up. It's nothing really. He seems to understand Miesha a little. But Eric, what are you doing? She pokes her little head out to look at his desk. Nothing, just some things that need confirmation. Seeing her eyes full of curiosity, the man actively invites her. You can go look. Really. As soon as she says this, Miesha patters over. But the documents piled on the left can't be torn. Of course, I won't tear things anymore. Soon, Eric discovers something else. Miesha reads extremely fast, and with great focus. This is the first time he's seen her read documents. It seems she's more skilled at reading than speaking. You had people follow Maleka? Yes. Just a moment ago, he seemed to see Miesha frown. The girl points to the document. What is this about the Salakati written here? Isn't this family meaningless now? A bastard son of the last family head is still alive. I heard he's going to inherit the family. The girl occasionally asks questions she doesn't understand, and Eric answers them all. Honestly. Since he was the one who first proposed maintaining honesty. In no time, she has finished reading everything. Will you show me whenever I want to see in the future? Of course, anytime you want. Do you still have work to do? Yes, he does have some unfinished business, but the girl doesn't hold back because of this. I want to sit on your lap. All right. Eric helps her settle in. Though his voice is magnetically attractive, he speaks about boring matters. But there's nothing here that would interest you. This is completely not a problem for Miesha, because the little cat is about to start acting up again. It doesn't matter. But Eric, kissing. Is that something that can only be done in the bedroom? I was just thinking, I seem to not just not dislike you but closer to liking you. As she draws closer and closer, that pleasant voice gets closer and closer to his ear. So, can we? The ambiguous atmosphere comes to an abrupt halt. Eric actually uses his finger to point at her chin and push her away. He presses lightly on the girl's lip corner. What are you trying to do this time? The arm holding her suddenly lowers. Miesha leans back like a fish on a cutting board. Your acting is too poor this time, so just tell the truth. Miesha's upper body is forced to hang in the air. She waves her thin arms trying to grab Eric to get up, but can't move at all. The man's low voice carries a trace of sternness. So this time just tell the truth. During this period, what have you thought of again that makes you suddenly act like this? The girl plays mind games, claiming she suddenly realized her feelings for men and came to find him immediately, even accusing him of needing to reward her instead of treating her this way. Eric quietly watches her make a fuss. Yes, those words you spoke were indeed very important. After saying this, he kisses the girl. Miesha startles at first, then immediately wraps her arms around him. Just as Eric lifts her up, the kitten pounces over. The man confirms once more. So it's only because of that? I did it to save you. Have you forgotten? If we don't do that thing, the king will— Eric grasps her restless hands. It won't happen. The king already released us last time, so he shouldn't charge us with the same crime again. The girl looks stunned. Why? Because that would be equivalent to admitting his previous judgment was wrong. The lonely girl, confined to the royal palace for years, doesn't understand complex human nature. But she can grasp Eric's meaning. No wonder he has seemed so composed lately. While she alone worried about this matter. Now you don't need to worry anymore, right? Wait, she understands the king. Even if this matter can no longer be used as leverage, the man will soon be executed for other reasons. So before this man dies, she must do this thing. After all, if there's a next marriage, her partner probably won't treat her as well as Eric does. It would be better to stabilize this marriage, and then return to Celia Palace to spend the rest of her life quietly. Eric becomes completely confused by the girl again. My lady, could you please explain why you want to do this? Must there always be a reason? Looking at the man who finds various excuses to avoid touching her, Miesha inexplicably feels angry. So much so that she loses her rationality and starts speaking without thinking. Just tell the truth. You simply don't like my body. Isn't that something you can just close your eyes and do? What? Do you really have no interest when you look at me like this? She had clearly decided to maintain her smile in front of him. But why do these useless emotions keep surfacing? Eric's voice comes from above. I don't know what you're talking about. His speech is slow, with a hint of restraint in his voice. You say, I don't like your body? As the bedroom door closes, the girl's stubborn voice rings out again. I probably couldn't satisfy you. After all, I have so many scars on my body. And skin and bones. From our previous outings, she had already learned about Eric's reputation in others' eyes. He's the victorious hero in people's mouths and the devastatingly handsome man in women's eyes. Beautiful people must surely care about appearance too. A suddenly extended hand interrupts her wild thoughts. I also have many scars on my body. Only then does Miesha notice that Eric's scars are much deeper than those on her body. Who did this to you? This one was left by Commander Sitatai, and this one was from an axe several years ago. Usually not obvious when clothed, but up close, Miesha only feels his physique has become more imposing and quite frightening. How about it? He mimics Miesha's tone, repeating her words. Is Madame also dissatisfied with me? Miesha turns away, stammering that she's satisfied. Liar. You were avoiding eye contact just now, but even knowing it's false, I don't want to pursue it anymore. The next day, the reconnaissance knight reports Maleka's movements in detail. She seemed to stuff something into her pocket at the time. It was too small to see clearly what it was. After that, a carriage came to the pawn shop. An old woman got out to enter the pawn shop. Just as we were about to continue investigating, someone suddenly stopped her, reportedly because of a brooch she was selling. As a precaution, we followed her. This is the old woman's address. The moment Eric sees the address, the doubts that had been lingering in his mind begin to connect. The palace maids and the Crispin family, along with this old woman, and the connection between his father and his mistress. After Eric finishes his official business, he returns to see Gra reading to Miesha. The girl's face turns bright red the moment she sees him, and she turns away. This morning, after discovering the young master had bullied his wife again, Gra simply cannot look Eric in the eye. The marks on the girl's body that had faded reappeared after one night. But Maleka was quite happy at the time. It seems you two have a good relationship. Will the young master also go out with Princess today? Gra's eyes widen. She's not Princess, but the young madam. Also, only the young master would know whether they're going out or not. Despite her repeated corrections, Maleka still deliberately calls Miesha Princess. Anyway, I feel that maid is blatantly testing me. I wonder what tricks she's planning. It seems they're about to make their move. In that case, we need to pretend to approach the bait. Eric tosses a short sword to Gra. Kaelin will teach you how to wear it. Today, get off the carriage midway as usual, then time it right to meet up with us. Unlike usual days, Eric actually puts protective clothing on Miesha. Although I'll be by your side, I still feel more at ease having you wear this. Because of last night's events, Miesha doesn't dare look at Eric directly. With this on, it won't matter even if I'm stabbed by a knife. Can it also block whips and axes? How can you say such terrifying things? For whips, it depends on the situation. It should be able to block some knife attacks. Axes would be very dangerous. This disappoints Miesha somewhat. Eric helps her fasten the straps. All set. Is the protective clothing uncomfortable? She puts on her outer robe. It's fine. I want that. What's that? On the table is a gift from the maids, worn around the neck like a necklace, then tied with a bow at the back. Eric remembers she seemed to have worn it a few times recently. Has she become interested in dressing up? Seeing Miesha's red face waiting obediently, Eric feels his heart race and becomes shy himself. I'm not very confident I can tie the bow properly, but I'll try to make it look nice. Anyway, I hope we won't need any of this equipment. Just as Eric predicted, they spend a long time in the carriage, without anything happening. Just when she thinks today will end like this, Gra appears before them, clutching her injured arm. She looks fierce. Captain, will you give me hazard pay? You're injured? The girl angrily climbs into the carriage. Yes, but the most severely injured part is my heart. All because of Kaelin Amans. Kaelin and his brother Bale hate when people call them by their full names, because their surname sounds similar to profanity in the Siddatai Duchy. Gra knows this very well, and her tone is particularly angry, as she recounts what just happened. As usual, she first went to look at herbs, then bought some cookies, planning to spend the remaining time at the bookstore, but unexpectedly encountered thieves. Caught off guard, her wallet was stolen. While pursuing them, she unknowingly was led to a secluded alley. Later she discovered the thieves had accomplices, but strangely, they were all skin and bones, and many had even lost their teeth. The smell was like they had been soaking in sewage. Wait, don't describe the stench. Anyway, after communicating with them, I learned they not only planned to harm me there, but also wanted to kidnap me afterward. They were going to put a cloth bag over my head, so I unconsciously fought back. If I had obediently gone with them, I could have discovered the mastermind and their base, but I really couldn't control my temper. That's fine. You didn't need to do that. It's better to investigate on the spot. That's true. After all, I know where to attack to cause excruciating pain. However, that wasn't what made him angry. Every time she attacked, despite people being around, no one ambushed her. Only when she noticed behind her did she discover Kaelin controlling the criminals and throwing them at her one by one. Don't even mention how speechless I was at the time. And while I was dealing with enemies, he was actually counting. 18, no, 17. She initially thought this was the number of enemies Kaelin wanted to help her handle, but the number kept decreasing. He probably meant your skills are about the same as his brother's, right? Exactly. And he even gave me a live commentary. Although it's unpleasant, he was praising your abilities. What happened after that? After capturing all those people? He actually asked me, since you're going to use brute force to deal with them, when will you use the short sword? So I told him I'd use it during interrogation. Seeing two guys still conscious, I first used the knife to sever their hand and foot tendons. Wait, Eric interrupts Gra's passionate speech. He was initially afraid the content might be too bloody and frighten Miesha, but unexpectedly the girl covers her face with a bright, excited expression. This isn't a normal person's reaction to hearing such things. Although puzzled, he still lets Gra continue. Under my interrogation, they quickly confessed everything. They're just people from the Thieves Guild, so they don't know the mastermind, but someone gave them money. The job was to take her away and defile her. After she becomes pregnant, they'd send her to the Border Earl's mansion. Eric can roughly guess who did this. You've worked hard. Of course I worked hard. So is there hazard pay? Eric had initially planned to use Gra as bait, but the enemy was far more vicious than he imagined. This isn't something that can be resolved with just money. Gra laughs heartily. Anyway, I already got my revenge just now, so I have no regrets. You're saving money to buy a blacksmith shop in your hometown, right? Yes, that's my father's competitor. He seems to have many complaints about my father. I'll use my own assets to help you purchase it, but the paperwork will take several weeks. You should be able to get the property deed next month. Gra is quite satisfied with this compensation. I'm all disheveled right now, so I'll go back with Kaylin first. See you tomorrow, you two. After the girl leaves, Eric's expression changes. They actually wanted to make Gra pregnant to involve me in scandal, Miesha says quietly. Big guy and sharp face said, Gra was your mistress. Eric gets a headache. Setting that aside, are you all right now, madam? Miesha shrugs to indicate that when she first saw blood, being very young, she was so frightened she had continuous nightmares for entire nights, but she soon got used to it. When the king killed people, she would laugh beside him, because if she didn't laugh, that sword might swing toward her. She could even sleep in piles of corpses. She was still very small then, and without having to do anything special, everyone would think she had gone mad. But starting 2 years ago, the maids began suspecting she had regained her sanity, because almost everyone who could be killed was dead. She didn't have to stay with corpses every day, so she had to start doing strange behaviors. Those crazy actions made all who suspected her shut their mouths. Eric cannot imagine what Miesha actually experienced, but she can calmly describe these terrible things, yet is uniquely afraid of birds. And why won't she step into the chapel? Madam, do you still have anything you hate or fear now? If you don't want to say, you don't have to. I won't force you. Miesha doesn't want to recall childhood events, not even the happy moments. May I ask why? Because it's a secret that cannot be told. It requires paying a great price. We didn't go all the way last night, did we? In her childhood, she spent a very happy time at Celia Palace. Although compared to the Central Palace, it wasn't a luxurious place. There was her occasionally stern but very gentle mother. Miesha, are you eating candy again? Mother also told her that on rainy days, the goddess would take away disobedient children. Everyone there would smile at her. However, whenever the king's lackey, the court earl, came to speak quietly with Mother, Mother would look upset all day, which made her very sad. That day, she had a bad premonition, because everyone in the royal palace showed gloomy expressions. She still remembers. It rained heavily that day, as if foretelling disaster, with deafening thunder, as if heaven was punishing her for being disobedient. It was also that day, Belmar massacred Celia Palace. Miesha, Mother seems to have done something wrong. But even mothers must be punished if I does something wrong, right? No, let's hide together. I don't want Mother to be punished. Even if you don't want it, there's no choice. Mother probably won't survive. But Miesha, no matter what method you use, you must survive. Whether hiding under corpses or pretending to be crazy, you must survive. It won't be too long. Everyone died tragically. She didn't know what happened, or understand Mother's words, but she still obediently tried her best to follow them. Yet despite Belmar's cruel tyranny, he still sat firmly on the throne. From some point on, the exhausted girl began to think Mother's words were selfish, because she was clearly just a child who couldn't survive alone. Even so, she stubbornly survived. In the first few months sleeping in the Central Palace, she was really afraid. She must have been truly mentally disturbed then. So Belmar didn't eliminate her. For a while, she often cried thinking of Mother, but soon she couldn't shed a single tear. Her name was given by Mother. Mother had pleaded with the king for a long time to win this right, because whenever Miesha was pronounced, the corners of one's mouth would turn up. She hoped everyone would smile when calling her name. I believe everyone around you will be happy because of you. Later, for a long time, no one called her name again. Even when someone mentioned it, it was full of malice. Miesha? She doesn't look human at all, worse than beasts. Actually licking the floor in front of her mother's killer just like a disgusting rat. Even though she did nothing, she was still grabbed by the hair and dragged across the floor. Didn't I tell you not to move when drinking? She was often forced to drink strange medicines. Although she could spit out some by pretending to be crazy, some still flowed down her throat. Whenever she raised her head, she could see that person sitting high above. She knew, the more miserable she was, the happier Belmar became. The next day, when Eric wakes up, he sees Miesha's sleeping face. He stares at her for a very long time, because the fact that Miesha can sleep peacefully in his arms makes him extremely happy. As the young couple successfully spends their first night together, the royal conspiracy gradually reveals itself. The next morning, Miesha endures her shame, exposing her back for Maleka and the fat maid to inspect. She initially thought Maleka's purpose was only to report to the king, but unexpectedly she said perfect timing, and brought out numerous clothes and cosmetics. She picked and instructed the chubby maid. Be gentle with her. It would be troublesome if she had an episode now. Miesha has a vague sense of unease. Then she sees Maleka pick up a revealing dress. Since you've gained your husband's favor, you naturally need to find ways to keep it. Soon Gra arrives. She greets Bale, who's guarding the door, then enters the room, but it's empty. As she wonders about this, sounds of things falling come from the inner room. Where is it? Ah, found it! Maleka picks up a box of rouge. Didn't I tell you to hold her properly? Miesha had just scattered all the cosmetics on the floor. Normally she would have been beaten for such resistance, but today they only focus on finding that small box of rouge. Something's wrong. The brush gets knocked away by her again. Maleka also loses patience, but she still doesn't strike. Instead, she uses her finger to scoop out some rouge, urging, "Hold her steady. We're in a hurry today, so let's finish quickly." Usually, if she didn't cooperate even slightly, she would be punished. This is all too abnormal. Just then, Gra's voice sounds from outside. "Young madam, are you here? Why is the door locked?" Maleka asks in shock, "Why is that woman still here?" Almost simultaneously, Miesha begins screaming. Although the fat maid immediately covers her mouth, Gra outside still hears. "Young madam, are you inside?" She pounds forcefully on the wooden door. Damn, the arm wound has reopened. She immediately shouts to the door, "Bale, get over here quickly." The fat maid panics. "They're not going to break down the door, are they? Maybe we should wait until next time." Maleka looks crazed. "Let go. We must finish before they get in." If Miesha only suspected before, now she's certain there's a problem. If they investigate, we'll just say we locked the door because Princess wouldn't cooperate, right? That door is made of ebony wood, very difficult to break from outside. The fat maid hesitates. "I know nothing about any of this. I was just following your orders." After speaking, she releases her hold on Miesha's mouth. As soon as Maleka approaches, she gets spat on. The girl suppresses her fear. She must delay for time, or so far every time they did such things. Didn't she survive? So this time, she'll definitely be fine too. But Maleka suddenly stops. What's wrong? This girl's expression actually looks like a normal person's. Oh no, she unconsciously. If she looks away now, it would be even stranger. How could she make such a basic mistake? This overwhelming panic makes all the blood in her body seem to freeze. Just as Miesha raises her head again, she sees the scene she least wanted to witness. Meanwhile, no matter how Bale rams the door, it doesn't budge. Just as Gra prepares to find the key, Eric arrives. Gra quickly explains what she knows. Eric doesn't stop walking. "Move aside, both of you." Gra startles. She has never seen the captain with such an expression. Then comes a tremendous crash. The door that Bale couldn't break down gets kicked apart by Eric in one strike. Eric radiates unstoppable killing intent. "Tie them up!" Maleka retreats in fear. Wait, I have something to tell you before that." "Wait, nothing, you stinking hag!" Gra punches her. She pins Maleka firmly to the ground. "How dare you treat the young madam like this? Miesha, are you hurt?" The girl snaps back to reality. The next second, she's embraced by Eric. The man gently pats her back, comforting her softly. "It's okay, everything's fine now." The familiar warmth and voice gradually calm her tense emotions. Maleka suddenly starts shouting, "Young master, listen to me! That girl is no different from a normal person. You've all been deceived by her." "Gra," Eric loudly stops her. "Gag her immediately." Maleka's remaining words turn into muffled whimpers. Eric holds the trembling girl. "I understand the situation. You don't need to worry, everything's fine now." But Miesha, having been discovered, still trembles with fear. Eric looks at her with eyes full of heartache. When he returns again, he picks up that box of rouge. A subordinate reports, "She seemed to want to apply this makeup to madam, and her fingers are also stained with the color." When Eric first entered the room, he noticed signs of struggle inside. If Miesha had resisted violently, there must have been a reason. "Don't you also find it strange? Just give me 2 days and I can investigate the components." 2 days? That long? Didn't you leave an excellent example before? Gra startles. Then she sees the captain walk toward Maleka. The other woman shows a nervous expression. Eric scoops up a large amount of rouge. Is this ordinary cosmetics? Maleka's expression shifts from nervousness to terror. She desperately shakes her head and struggles. Eric's voice suddenly turns cold. "You don't need to answer. We'll know once you try it personally." Maleka's mouth gets forced open. She trembles violently, which further confirms Eric's suspicion. "Seems we don't need to gag her mouth anymore. Hold her down. Don't let her spit it out." With pressure applied to her neck, Maleka is forced to swallow the rouge. Soon she begins foaming at the mouth, and with each cough spits out blood. In just moments, she shows no response. "Gra, go check!" The girl pries open Maleka's eyes. "She's dead." Eric clenches his fist. He feels the angrier he gets. The clearer his mind becomes. The answer is obvious. She wanted to use Miesha to slowly poison them. She neither disguised it as an accident, nor prepared for a quick kill, but chose the most time-consuming method. In previous investigations, the old woman frequenting the tavern was the mother of the Crispin family's night deputy captain. Although this deputy captain had outstanding abilities, he failed to become captain due to crude methods. They handled dirty work for the Crispin family, and his mother's brother happens to be the head of the Thieves Guild, the same group that attacked Gra. Everything points to the Crispin family, but what's their motive? Arranging a mistress for father? Kidnapping Gra to create scandal for him? Or coveting the position of Cladenir's lady? However, what concerns Eric most is that this information was discovered in just a few days. While the previous Bargirl's mastermind could never be traced, their methods are inconsistent. What if their mastermind isn't Crispin at all? Crispin proposed marriage for rebellion, and if all these events are bait, then they're being used just like Cladenir. All events would make sense then. The only mastermind behind everything is that person. If this poisoning incident had succeeded, it wouldn't be long before Cladenir discovered it was Crispin's doing. The two families would develop a rift. How far has the king calculated? Whether charging them with inadequate care of Princess, or setting a trap for Crispin, either outcome suits the king, because his desired result is the downfall of both families. In that case, he'll play along with them. Mrs. Dyraf, what's going on here? The fat maid avoids eye contact. I don't know either. I was just doing what she told me to. Eric begins leading her. So you knew nothing about it. From what I understand, Mrs. Maleka seemed to have many problems. I heard she was discovered stealing and selling palace items because she couldn't repay her father's debts. She only avoided consequences by bribing headmaid Namelia heavily. So I'm wondering if this incident was also about money. What do you think? Afraid of taking responsibility, the fat maid starts deflecting. That's exactly what I think. Right, she told me. It was all ordered by Crispin. I often saw her interacting with maids from there. Getting the answer he wanted, Eric looks at Kaelin. Go to the palace now and report that the two families have developed a rift. Say Crispin covets the Cladenir family and tried to frame the young madam. Also, Gra, go confirm the drug components. After handling these matters, Eric comes to his mother's room. His mother looks furious. Crispin actually dared to do such a thing to Miesha. They even dropped handkerchiefs before telling you not to have children. Mother, what's important now isn't Crispin, but that the king's maid is dead. Royal people will come soon. I need someone who can go with Dyraffe to confirm testimony. True, the king might take her away and twist her testimony to attack us. Adel, who do you think would be suitable? Is there anyone not influenced by the king? Adel ponders for a moment. I think Duke Salakadi's head would be suitable. Salakadi died. He's the only Salakadi family member to survive the king's blade, lacks social skills and has no ability to contend with the king. Because he's the illegitimate son of the former head and a servant, he recently came of age and just received his title from the king. After explaining the situation to Doid, the king's people arrive just in time, but the visitor's first words make Eric wary. He urgently asks whether Miesha is well, whether she was frightened or witnessed Maleka's death. His expression makes Eric inexplicably uncomfortable. The visitor is called Tyberig. He belongs to the king's guard and is completely opposite to the king's style. He's humble and polite to a surprising degree. Soon, they come to the inner room. Doid looks like someone who hasn't seen the world. What a terrifying scene. Meanwhile, Tyberig keeps asking about Princess. Where is the young madam now? I wonder how she's doing. Eric suddenly smiles. Madam is currently being cared for by my mother. Just as Tyberig wants to continue asking, Dyraffe shouts like seeing a savior. Captain Tyberig! Compared to his earlier strange behavior, Tyberig shows extreme professionalism. When examining the scene, just from one glance, he basically reconstructs the scene before Maleka's death and easily accepts their explanation. Regarding follow-up investigation, he only says to notify him when there's progress, and thanks to Eric's earlier guidance, when Tyberig interrogates her, Dyraffe pushes all responsibility onto Maleka and reveals she had contacted Crispin. They must have been secretly plotting something. Tyberig picks up the rouge. Then why give makeup to Princess? No, to the young countess. Because the young count and princess have a good relationship. They're often together, and the young count takes very good care of her. The bedroom was also quite messy this morning. Maleka said since she finally gained her husband's favor, she mustn't lose it. Doid suddenly coughs. She spoke well. But shouldn't we also hear what other maids have to say to be fair? She seems to have a lot to say too. Well, what I witnessed differs from what she said. After the young master kicked open the bathroom door, what met our eyes was evidence of the young madam's desperate resistance, and the scene of Mrs. Dyraffe restraining the young madam like a prisoner. Gra signals to Kaelin. Then the man gets pinned down by her. Mrs. Dyraffe had a terrifying expression, treating the young madam like a prisoner. Tyberig's expression instantly changes. His tone becomes cold. Take her away. Only then does Dyraffe realize she's been deceived. She shouts about being wronged. Eric had just guided her to push all responsibility onto Maleka, subtly suggesting he would help her escape punishment. She's been played by Cladenir's young master. After the investigation ends, Eric goes to his mother's place to pick up Miesha. They discuss Tyberig as someone sent by the king. He not only didn't make things difficult for us, but made everything progress too smoothly. The lady has Edel investigate him. Just as Eric prepares to leave, the Crispin family actually sends someone to request a meeting. The visitor is none other than the woman who previously had a marriage arrangement with Eric Crispin actually comes to apologize. During their conversation, they also discuss other matters. Just as the two prepare to end their talk, Eric's father suddenly bursts in. How strange. When I arranged your marriage, neither of you wanted to look at each other. Now you're having private meetings. Eric ignores his father and tells Crispin to return home first. After they leave, the father and son have their first fierce argument. From his executing the king's people for Miesha's sake, to entrusting the night order to Alberic for training, father's dissatisfaction with him has reached its peak. Do you want to hand over your position to someone else? Isn't father the same? I always coveted the family head position. Didn't you also give me the chance? His son's disrespect enrages the count. You inexperienced brat. Eric walks toward him. Then how much does father know? Do you know all this is being manipulated by the king? Even the woman currently with you. And the marriage to Crispin are all the king's plans. We're all tied to strings in the king's hands, dancing like puppets. Eric's investigations and speculations during this time were confirmed in his conversation with Miss Crispin. They too are chess pieces in the king's hands. Crispin's father is incompetent and doesn't gain the emperor's favor, while her mother trusted the wrong people and used those she shouldn't have. making their family a stepping stone in the poisoning incident. The king planned to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Even if he cannot eliminate Cladenir's heir, poisoning Princess is enough to give the king an excuse to destroy Crispin. So Eric made a move before the king acted, demanding to resolve matters privately with Crispin. Of course, appropriate punishment and compensation won't be lacking. But Crispin will no longer play any role in rebellion plans. They've lost another ally, and father knows nothing of this. The old count cannot believe it. What are you saying? I'll have Kalen report to you tomorrow. You can hear from him then. What do you mean the king arranged it? What does this all mean? Eric had long guessed father wouldn't easily admit his mistakes. Go apologize to mother. What's there to apologize for? What man this age doesn't have a mistress or 2? What exactly do you take mother for? I'm asking you to apologize for endangering the family. Isn't this what should be done for the lady of the house? The father he once admired has long since vanished without a trace. You taught me that if mistakes are made due to incompetence, opportunities for correction can be given. But if there's concealment and malice on top of that foundation, forgiveness isn't deserved. Why has the person who said these words become like this? You wouldn't understand. I've spent my life living with a woman who looks down on everything I do. Your mother is excellent, but precisely because she's excellent, she mocks whatever I do. You, who protects a foolish woman as your wife, will never understand. So, you let yourself be backstabbed by such a woman just to avoid mother's mockery? His father was once the perfect family head. Seeing him become like this, Eric always feels betrayed. Even just quietly looking at him is unbearable. Thanks to you, I understand how to live if I don't want to become a laughingstock in old age. The next day, Miesha, who had been dejected all day due to the poisoning incident, upon hearing Tyberic has come here, shows rare joy. This makes Eric feel vaguely uneasy. Why are you so happy to hear he's coming?